Hello and welcome into the stream, everyone. How are we doing today? I have just gone live on both TikTok as well as YouTube. Thank you, everyone, so much for tuning in and for being here today. Now, I am live pretty early today, much earlier than I usually am. And that's because later today, I'm going to be hopping in my car and heading to Aspen, Colorado. So we'll be live for around 3 hours. So another short live, which I apologize for. And yeah, we'll try to have some good faith discussions, some good debates for around 3 hours today. Now, because we are doing a little bit of a shorter stream, we are just simply not going to skip a beat or waste a moment. If you are one of the first couple thousand people tuning into the live, let me know down below in that comment section if you are a Trump supporter that would like to come up and have some discourse. But once again, for everybody tuning in on both I want to say Instagram for some reason. I don't know why my brain is going there. If you're one of the first people tuning in on either YouTube or TikTok, make sure that you are either dropping a like on that YouTube stream, spamming the likes on that TikTok stream, and letting me know in that live chat. Once again, if you are a Trump supporter that would like to debate. Now, we are going to go in and pull up that very first guest of the day. We already have 8 people in the guest request. Please keep in mind, if you are in the guest request, make sure that means that you are an American adult that's at least 18 that supports Trump and would be ready and willing to come up here and debate. Now, let's go and get that first guest pulled in. What is going on, Charlie? And do you support the terrible president? That was actually not even him playing. That was a recording of some YouTube video. Get out of here, you poser. Okay? All right? We just started the debate stream for the day, and we already get the posers. I don't know. What's going on, Ro Jogan? Do you support Trump?
Bro, you are hilarious, dog. I swear to God, you are funny. Yeah, I do.
Okay, re-request. Okay, I'm sorry. I kicked you. Come on, you were talking me up. Trump supporters don't usually do that, so I kicked you out. Re-request. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ro Jogan. I kicked you out because you were talking me out. What's going on, Sally Hughes? Do you support Trump? All right, well, they're not here to debate, so we're going to try to get that first guest, Ro Jogan, back in here. Hey, Ro Jogan.
Hey, Big Daddy.
Okay, get the fuck out of here. I was right. I was right with my judgment. I was right with my judgment the first time. Stay the hell out. Moving on to the next guest. We got Ethan loading up in the box. I was right with the judgment the first time around. What is going on? What is up, Mr. Ethan? Are you mega? Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Ethan, dear God, bro. Why?
Bro, I don't want to have like this heated debate stuff. I want to do a good man-to-man debate. Like, I don't want no petty stuff. You hear me?
We'll have a good conversation. How old are you?
I am 15.
Okay, man. Sorry, I gotta kick you. You gotta be at least 18 to come on TikTok live. It's funny because the children are usually a little bit more respectful than the adults, a little bit more grown up than the grown ups. We see that a lot. But hey, no, seriously, if you are one of the very first 2.7 thousand people tuning into the TikTok live stream, it is super duper good to have you in here with us today. I'm going to go ahead and give you a handful of tasks over on that TikTok live stream to help this stream boost out to more people so we can hopefully get some debates going. If you hear my voice, all 2.8 thousand of you guys, make sure that you are double tapping on your phone screen. That really helps us get this live to shoot out and across the For You page. All you got to do is double tap, maybe share the live with a handful of friends, and spam the comment section. If you could do those things, we'll be able to get the live to shoot out, and we'll be getting some debates going on in here in absolutely no time. Let's go ahead and move on to the next guest now. If you are a Trump supporter that would like to come up, let us know down below in that chat. We'll get you pulled up here. What is going on at Token Sports? Do you support Trump?
Hell yeah, brother, and it looks like 128 Democrats support him too.
128 Democrats. I just out of curiosity, where are you getting that very specific number from?
I mean, isn't that the ones that didn't vote to impeach him last Monday?
Oh, you're right. Well, just because they don't think he should be impeached doesn't mean that they support him. But I will say they should have voted for the impeachment.
But why didn't they?
Well, I think the impeachment was over if he did something illegal by bombing Iran without congressional approval. And I think that those 128
I mean,
Democrats
like
just came
having
to the
ICE
conclusion that they
agents in
didn't come
black
to
and brown
something illegal.
communities, like taking a $400 million jet, like none of that was worthy of impeachment.
Well, I think it is. But anyways, man, why do you support Trump?
I'm just wondering why liberals are supporting him now if he's such a problem.
Okay, so why do you support him?
Well, I support him because liberals are supporting him now. I mean, isn't that the thing to do?
I support it because liberals are supporting him now. So you don't have like any particular reasons why it is the case that you support him? You just kind of do like
No, I mean, I
mindlessly?
just
You're like a
blindly
drone?
follow corporate Democrats like everybody else.
No, I know who you are. Yeah, blindly follow the corporate Dems. Have you heard of AI Pack?
Maybe.
This guy's a troll. Get the hell out of here. Moving on to the next guest. We're going to move on to the next guest, y'all. Everybody do be patient. We're going to get John loading up in the stream, y'all. Do be patient, everybody. We got John loading in. We're just looking for the first debate. John, what's going on? Do you support Trump?
How's the e-business?
It's going great, John. Thanks for asking. You're underage, so we're going to kick you out and move on to Jude. Everyone, just give us a minute to get this first Trump supporter up of the day. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of people that are ready and willing to debate, but it is what it is. You know, it's a little bit difficult to find that first guest of the day, as always. But, you know, we'll get it done, everybody. We'll get it done. Y'all, let's move on to the next guest. Here we go, everybody. Trying to get somebody up in here to debate. What about Atlas Cade? We got Atlas Cade loading in. Here we go, everybody. And Atlas Cade actually left, quite frankly. Hi, for the 3,000 people watching on TikTok. Does there happen to be a single Trump supporter in the mix that isn't just absolutely terrified of talking to me? Like, is there one? Is there one Trump supporter that would like to chat? That's at least 18 from America and supports Trump. Is there one? Quite frankly, we're just looking for one. They're all asleep. That's right. Hello, what's going on, Audrey? Do you support Trump?
I just wanted to say I love you and you're amazing.
I appreciate you for your kindness, Audrey. Thank you so much. Let's just try to keep it to debates, everybody. Really, truly, just try to find that very first debate of the day. Hello, welcome in, Henry. Do you support Trump?
Transfentanyl.
Lennon, thank you so much for the Leon the Kitten. Oh my God, Lennon, it is so good to see you. Thank you so much for the Leon the Kitten. That's a huge gift over at TikTok. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. What's up, Jackson?
Cookie Mogs you.
All right, phenomenal. You support Trump?
Cookie Mogs you.
All right, I know. I heard you say that the first time. Are you MAGA?
No, just Cookie
All
Mogs.
right, goodbye. Everybody, we are still looking really super duper hard for a single Trump supporter. I'm pretty sure that like they're just terrified of me at this point. Like there's just nowhere for them to go. They obviously don't want to debate me. They know that they'll lose. So I mean, I don't really know what to do in this circumstance, guys. This is why I need you guys to help me by double tapping away on that phone screen and sharing out the live with a handful of friends. Because just simply having like 3.2 thousand people in the TikTok, it's just simply not enough to get debates underway. It's just simply not enough. Like we need seriously around like 5,000 to 7,000 people in here minimum just to sustain a sufficient viewership in order to get debates. Hey, what's going on? Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
Okay, who's that?
Tyler.
Tyler, what about you, literally?
Yeah, I'm just wondering how that pizza was last night.
It was good once I heated it up. So
Domino's?
It was phenomenal. So literally, and then Tyler, guys, take it away. Why do you support Trump?
I just support them because, like, the immigrants in America, I don't like how I support legal immigration, but I don't support illegal immigration just because of them not paying taxes and things of that sort.
Okay, so you just said the only reason why I don't like undocumented immigration is because they don't pay taxes. So if they did pay taxes, you wouldn't support mass deportation?
No, I wouldn't. I'd be just fine with them being here.
Yeah, they pay $100 billion per year in taxes on the federal, state, and local level, according to the IRS and the Institute on Economics and Finance. You're wrong.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Undocumented immigrants pay $100 billion in year, per year in taxes on the federal, state, and local level, according to the IRS and the Institute on Economics and Finance. You're wrong.
So, okay, but if they're illegal, we don't know about majority of them because
Oh, well, now you're seemingly changing your claim here. You said that you wouldn't support mass deportation if undocumented immigrants pay taxes. Well, it is true that undocumented immigrants pay taxes, therefore you don't support mass deportation.
I'm just confused on how they would get that.
Yeah, for sure. They can pay taxes through ITINs. Right? So undocumented immigrants work as employees on W-2s. They get something called an ITIN. That's what they put down instead of their SSN. And that's their individual taxpayer identification number. And that's how they pay taxes to the federal, state, and local governments.
Okay, but as well as like, I feel like if you're gonna be in America, you need to take on as like, you need to have the American name and like be an actual citizen.
What, the American name? I'm confused.
Like you should be an actual citizen, like go through the proper ways of becoming a citizen.
So you changed your mind in like less than 5 seconds. Remember when you told us that you wouldn't support mass deportation if undocumented immigrants paid taxes? And then I was like, hey man, well guess what? They do pay taxes and you still support mass deportation. So why the fuck? Okay, emphasis on the emphasis on the fuck word. Why the hell did you tell me that? Why did you lie to us?
I'm not. I'm just asking questions.
Okay, well, do you still support mass deportation even though you know that undocumented immigrants pay taxes?
Not as much. No.
Not as much. So yeah, that's what we call a shift of the goalpost. Quite frankly, what the hell, dude? Come on. All right. Well, okay. Let's just go back to the basics. Why do you support Trump? We'll restart. We'll clear it up. Right now, the conversation's messy. You lied to us all. You said you want to support mass deportation if you figured out that that undocumented immigrants pay taxes. You figured out that they do. You still support it. I don't know. But you said something about the legal way there. Let me ask you a question. You just don't like it when people break the law. Do you consider yourself a man of law and order?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you put an adjudicated rapist, 34-count convicted felon in the Oval Office, and he's been breaking the law a whole lot since he got the office. The first example was in January when he passed an EO banning birthright citizenship, even though the 14th Amendment says all persons born in this country are citizens. And then he followed that up with the illegal deportation of Abrigo Garcia. SCOTUS ruled against him, telling the administration that that removal was illegal. And then the administration hit them back by saying that they don't give a damn. He also tried to invoke the Alien Enemies Act to use against undocumented immigrants to deport them without giving them due process. SCOTUS ruled that about a month after they ruled about Abrigo Garcia. I mean, he's violated withholding order for groups of Venezuelan immigrants, sending them back to Venezuela with no due process, and had federal judges tell him to turn the planes around. And then he was like, hell no, I'm not going to turn the planes around. The federal judge was like, I have probable cause to hold you in contempt. He's been breaking the law more than undocumented immigrants, and you support him in the Oval Office. Why is that?
Well, it's more than just, I mean, you can't fully support anybody, like every idea that they have, right?
Well, all I'm saying is, like, if committing a misdemeanor is enough reason to send undocumented immigrants out of the country, no matter how bad it hurts the country, I'd assume everything I just named off is at least enough reason to get somebody out of the White House.
Yeah, but really, the way I looked at it when I voted is you got to pick the best of two evils, really.
Well, I know, but it's like, obviously this would disqualify him from ever being the better of two evils. He needs to stay the hell out.
Because it's just to the point to where some things you got to put ahead of others, and like, I also like the things he's doing financially, like with the country.
Oh, Jesus. No, you don't. You don't. I swear to God, you don't.
I do, but
okay. What is he doing economically speaking that you're a fan of?
like how he's put tariffs on the things coming in, and
Why do you like that? Why do you like that, Tyler?
because it'll start to cause people like other companies that are out of the country to put more plants and such things into the country and help.
No, it won't. No, it won't. Because he only has tariffs on particular countries, all that they do is they send products to another country and then import them into America duty free. So, no, it's not going to cause those companies to move back to America. It is significantly easier for them to just reroute their product through a third country compared to spending millions or billions of dollars in 3 to 6 years into building production plants in this country. And I mean, the only outcome of those tariffs on other countries is unironically Americans paying more for the goods they get from other countries, regardless if that's the additional 55% they'd be paying on a product directly imported from China, or the additional costs of, circumnavigating the product out of China to another country, from that other country to America. So, yeah.
And another thing I like is how he helps, like with a low income citizen, which would be like a waiter or waitress or something like that, how he's trying to make sure that they don't get taxed on tips and things of that like that.
The bottom
'Cause
20% of income earners in this country are going to have their after-tax income reduced by over $2,000, according to the best estimates we have from the Center and Budget and Policy Priorities of the Big Beautiful Bill. Now, you could definitely look at the Big Beautiful Bill and cherry pick out a couple parts that you think that you may like. However, when we consider its net impact, all 831 pages of it, guess what? After-tax income goes down. Tyler, I appreciate you for joining us today. Hopefully I was able to change your mind, man. Much love. Have a good rest of your day. Let's go to move on to the next guest, because let's go to get Miles up in the box. Now, if you happen to be one of the 5.3 thousand people hanging out with us in here today, I appreciate you for being here. Make sure that you're helping us out by double tapping on that phone screen and sharing out that live. Hello, Miles. Do you support the crooked Republicans?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
But
Miles, you sound young. How do you? How do you?
I'm 18. I missed the vote by like a month and a half.
Okay, what year were you born in?
2006, December 26th, day after Christmas.
You did miss the vote by about a month and a half. Okay, all right. Well, Miles, I'm going to go and give you a chance to tell us why you support Trump. Now, before you do, I want to thank a handful of people. First and foremost, Sienna, that is Sienna. Thank you for the $10 donation over on Venmo, reading hi. I am from a very conservative small town. It's funny watching all of them take down their Trump flags after everything he's done wrong. I've been noticing the same thing in my small conservative town. Shout out to Sienna, as well as, oh my Lord, Deborah, with the $75 donation over on Venmo. Can we please get 1,000 Deborah W's down below in the comment section? Deborah, that is so incredibly kind of you. Jesus. Deborah says, I absolutely love what you're doing. I watch you every day and really appreciate the logic that you bring to fight the bigotry and propaganda of MAGA. Keep on keeping on. Love you, Dean. I love you too. Deborah, that is so kind of you guys. Please show some love to Deborah down below in those chats. As well as Hannah, thank you so much for the $10 donation over on Venmo. That is so incredibly kind of you. In Brooklyn with a $5 over on PayPal. And Justin, thank you for the $20 super chat over on YouTube. I've read your message there. All the love to you, man. Show some love to Deborah and Justin down below in that comment section while we let the next guests take it away. We already got Mr. Miles loaded in. We know he's of age and supports Trump. Now we have another guest in here, Cheesin. You were spamming MAGA 35 down below in that chat. Are you a Trump supporter?
No, Trump is a felon. I love you, Dean.
Slay, quite frankly. Okay, Miles, take it away. Tell us why you support the man, the myth, the failure, Donald J. Trump as president.
Well, I'd rather just start by this. I was gonna ask, how do you think Kamala would be better in this situation than Trump with the stuff going on in Iran?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that she would have been better just because she can think more than one step ahead. I don't think that Donald Trump really thinks in like 3 dimensions. I think he thinks in 1 dimension because I don't think he's that intelligent of a guy. Like there's not a single trade deal he's successfully negotiated anywhere around the world. I mean, he's pulling us out of talks from Canada, even though they're one of our closest allies. They're right to the north of our border. And he negotiated a trade agreement with them in his first term, and he's calling that one shit now. I mean, I don't think he's ever intelligently spoken about policy in the last 10 years. Seriously, not one time. So obviously, he's a real 1D thinker, and he actually left. So what we see here is he made a claim, I started to refute it, and then he was like, oh no, I gotta leave. So let's go ahead and move on to the next guest. We got Jordan Key loading up in that box, as well as Alania. It's so good to have you in here with us for the day. Alania, thank you for the $50 super chat over on YouTube. If we could please show some love to Alania down below in that comment section while we're working on getting that next Trump supporter up here, that would be awesome. Let's get at least 500 Alania W's down below. At least 500 Alania W's down below. Thank you so much. It is so incredibly kind of you, Alania. Thank you so much for being here. Now, if you happen to be one of the 6,000 people watching the stream and you support Trump, go ahead and let me know down below. We'll get you pulled up here. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And Sapphire, thank you for that money gun. Well, once again, if you're watching and you'd like to support me, you can find my Venmo. Once again, if you're, wow, Jesus Christ. If you're watching and you'd like to support me, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal in the bio. But let's go to move on to the next guest. Here we go, everybody. We got them loading up. If you guys wouldn't mind just being patient and giving us a minute, that would be sweet. What's going on, Negan? Do you support Trump? Okay, they just wanted oink like a pig. Oink like a piggy pig. Trump, is that you? Trump, is that you, Trump? I think that's you, Trump. I don't know. Let's go ahead and move on to the next guest. We got Ron loading up in the box, as well as Brittany. Thank you so much for the $25 donation over on Venmo, saying fighting for our country and putting Trump supporters in their well-deserved place. Thank you so much for the love, Brittany. Let's get 250 Brittany W's down below. What's up, Ron26? You're definitely a Trump supporter, right, buddy?
Oh my goodness, dude! Accepted my request. What's up, boy?
I did accept your request. You're a big Trump guy, right, Ron?
No, I'm not a big Trump guy. I'm a big, I would say, freedom guy.
Okay, would you say that makes you a big Trump guy?
I would say that. I just got a question for you.
God, I'm just trying to determine if you support Trump or not. What is it, Ron? Stop being difficult. Oh my God.
Yeah, I support Trump.
Okay. Well, then you're not a big freedom guy at all. He's only explicitly called for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, as explicitly ran on constitutional violations, and it's literally implemented executive orders explicitly contradicting the Constitution. You're not a big freedom guy at all. You're not going to fool me, Ron.
Man, I got some things to say, but you got about 6K viewers, so I'll just let somebody else up.
No, bro, say it. Come on. Say it, Ron. Don't be scared, Ron.
Nah, I got a gym session to attend to. People like you just make me mad.
Oh, wait. You don't respect my First Amendment right to freedom of speech? Right, my free expression of speech, right? It pisses you off? Are you a communist?
I don't profit off of people's problems and not help that cause or believe in that cause truly like you do.
Bro, I just helped the cause by showing this freedom fighter down here how Donald Trump doesn't stand for the values in which you hold to be the case. You don't think that it builds electoral power on the left to try to convince people on the right that they're just completely insane and that their goals are actually better served by anybody but Trump? And then also you're saying profit off of what harms people. Are you talking about the fact that I accept donations?
I'm talking about the immigration cause. Let's pick a topic. Let's talk about immigration.
How does immigration have to do with your claim that I profit off of things that hurt people?
Have you donated anything? Are you out here fighting for immigrants' rights, or are you profiting off of it?
I'm out here fighting for immigrants' rights. I unironically have a video up with over 10 million views on both my TikTok and Instagram.
I found it.
It's a 5.5 minute explainer video insofar as exactly why mass deportation is a terrible plan and what a better alternative is. I also went out and protested on No King's Day, and immigration has become a focal point of these live streams as it relates to the research that I do and the advocacy and the work that I do in order to educate other individuals. I've seriously been able to convince even Republicans that mass amnesty is good. I'm shifting, what is typically believed and held by both liberals and Republicans into something that is significantly farther left than what we've seen historically. There's absolutely no way that you could tell me that.
My bad. I came in too hot with you. I do agree with you on on certain topics, like the billionaires should be abolished. Millionaires, you should reach 100 million and you're good. Like your family's good, your
Okay.
kids are good.
So why do you support Trump then? Because he's a billionaire.
I support Trump because they can't control him. They can't put him in this little box, this little evil box to go out there and cause chaos. People can say all day that he's causing the chaos. He's not. He's trying to shut down the chaos, but the chaos is getting worse, obviously.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think it's evidently clear that he causes chaos. I mean, he only caused the largest internal attack on a democracy since the Civil War.
I came in too hot with you. I want to apologize to you. But anyway, I think I found one of your YouTube channels. This little animated character. I fuck with it though. Low key, I do fuck with it though. Pretty cool.
Little animated character. I don't have a YouTube channel with a little animated character. I'm not gonna lie, he doesn't really seem like he wants to debate though. So we're gonna move on. Everyone, just give us a minute while we're getting that next guest, Philly cheesesteak, loaded into the live. Here we go, everybody. If you happen to be one of the 6.1 thousand people watching over on TikTok, thank you for being here. And Benjamin, thank you for the Galaxy, as well as Geo. Man, thank you so much for the $5 over on Venmo. Geo says my dad would love to debate you, and I think he'd absolutely cook you. Oh, well, that's awesome, Gio. Having some trust in your father. Well, you should respond to that with your TikTok. I'll let you up so I could debate your father. As well as Z, thank you so much for the $15 over on PayPal saying, how are you doing today, Dean? I'm pretty tired, but at least I got my latte. That's right. Thank you for the $15, Z. That is incredibly kind of you. Moving on to the next guest. Go ahead and drop a MAGA down below in that chat attached to your age if you'd like to come up here and have a conversation with me. Also, make sure that you're double tapping on that phone screen, everybody. Let's try to get up to 1 million likes. Hello, welcome in. Sterling, are you MAGA? Okay, let's go to move on to the next guest. Everyone, just give us a minute. We got Dawson loading in. That's right, Dawson is loading into the live. Goodbye, Sterling. Hello, Dawson. And Dawson, he left pretty quickly, too. You know, I don't know. Let me tell you, this guest request, it drives me crazy at times. It really, truly does drive me crazy. Welcome in. Do you support Trump?
I do.
Oh, no. Okay. Jack, how about you? Okay, Seth, it looks like it's just you. Seth, so you're a Trump supporter.
I am.
Oh man. Oh dude, get a load of this guy. So why do you support such a terrible president?
I thought he was better than the alternative. I feel like every election's a choice between two evils. So we just do what we can.
Okay, so your claim is if Kamala Harris was president right now, things would be worse off.
That's what I believe. Obviously, there's no way to tell for sure.
How about you try to convince me of that view? Take it away.
I think she'd be basically just another puppet king, if you will.
I'm tired of this
person.
rhetoric. I want an argument with substance. I don't just want words.
Well, the substance goes pretty deep. I would say Kamala. The war started in Ukraine 3 days after she left. She had the highest funding for a campaign of all time and failed horribly. If she really is smart like you believe, it seems like with all that money and all that intellect, she should have easily been able to sway the entire nation to her side.
I find that to be an incredibly disingenuous argument.
How so?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're essentially saying that Donald Trump was better compared to Kamala Harris because he won and she lost. I mean, it's just an appeal to populism. We can't just say because the majority of the people think that one candidate is better than the other. This must mean the candidate that lost just wasn't as smart and was the worst out of two evils. So. I mean, the way that we could demonstrate this would just be simply by demonstrating that Biden had won the election against Trump in 2020. According to your logic, this would mean that Biden is smarter than Trump, but yet Kamala Harris is dumber than Trump, meaning that Biden is smarter than Kamala Harris. And I think just to his age, that's not true.
Just the way that the pendulum swings, one president is obviously going to receive popularity while they're in office. It was a change that the people voted for, and then they voted for another change. They actually decided.
So you're just telling us that you think that Donald Trump is better because of change. So what does he want to change that you're a fan of?
No, I'm saying that Joe Biden got elected due to people wanting a change, and then they went back to Trump because they didn't like that.
Okay, so whoa. Your live is not eligible for recommendation and restricted in search results because it directs people off the platform? No, it doesn't. What are we doing here? I think that we may have to restart the stream, everybody. I don't know what's going on. We'll appeal that. We'll let it sit for a little bit. We'll see how that appeal goes through or not. My live does not contain the content mentioned in this notice. I don't know what's going on there. So do you have any reasons why you think that Trump is better?
I would say the main ones go to him being more for change.
Okay, what change
rather than
specifically?
tradition?
Well, I mean, we got to clarify that change isn't always a good thing. So you'd have to clarify what the specific change is and justify that it's a good thing.
Yeah, I would argue that change is generally a good thing due to, eventually it's straightening out. So let's say he were to make a lot of mistakes.
Okay. So then what changed specifically?
All of the ones that went overboard would be dialed back in the next election.
Can you tell me what changed specifically?
I do think that our trade agreements have been made to be a little bit better, as well as our funding for all the organizations we're a part of.
How many signed trade agreements has he gotten in the last 155 days?
What was that?
How many signed trade agreements has he gotten in the last 155 days?
I mean, I'm mainly talking about the negotiations with Canada and Mexico.
He literally said 2 days ago that he's done negotiating with Canada.
Well, yeah, Canada isn't negotiating. They're a small... They have no actual thing to bring to the situation. They're shouting that we're, tyrannical, but they have nothing to offer.
So you think it's Canada's fault? It's everybody's fault but our own. So because Donald Trump has been able to successfully negotiate 0 trade agreements in the last 155 days, this doesn't speak to Donald Trump's ability to negotiate at all. It only speaks to the other country's willingness. No, you're completely delusional. Canada is one of our closest allies. They sit right on our northern border. They are our neighbor. They are our friend. And then here you come swinging in and swinging out, telling us that it's their fault, not ours. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's not what I'm talking about. Over 90%
okay, so then you agree that it is Donald Trump's fault?
Exports from the United States.
Canada is one of our top 3 importers.
Yes, we also do a lot of business with them, but does that over 90% of our negotiations are us selling things to them? They need us more than we need them.
Okay, so I don't think that the 90% claim is going to be true, but I could agree that we're obviously going to export more to them than they export to us. If you turn your brain on, I swear to God, it'll make sense. How many Canadians are there?
It's a good question.
Around 44 million. How many Americans are there?
370 or something.
Oh, so there's more people in America that buy shit compared to people in Canada that buy shit. Obviously, we're going to be selling more shit to them than they sell to us.
We are the big dog.
Obvious, okay? Right?
We get better negotiation.
Now, this doesn't respond this doesn't respond to what I said at all, because if you're listening to what I said, then you would have heard me point out that he has been able to successfully negotiate 0 trade agreements with any other country on the face of this planet, Canada included. In fact, he even ended the negotiations with Canada 2 days ago for no goddamn reason, because he's so bad at what he does, okay? And you're going to sit here and tell me that this is somehow a W? Please tell me how it's a W to not be able to successfully negotiate a single trade deal with any other country on earth in 150 days.
I mean, he is negotiating with all of those countries.
Oh,
this is just
it's just ongoing. Well, if it hasn't happened in the first 150 days, how can you tell me that it is going to happen in the next? And then also, once again, I'd like to clarify that it's not ongoing with Canada. He literally said that we are no longer negotiating with Canada.
Yeah, but we already got the main negotiations out of the way. They're forced to basically look heavier into the drug trade and control their border. Those were the things that we negotiated in the first 150 days.
That's also not true.
Have you looked into that?
Yeah, I have looked into that. That's why I know it's not true.
Yes, it is. Look it up.
Nope. So you know that that
No,
original
and border
deal.
control.
You know that original deal that was announced where we lifted our tariffs and we got border control from them.
Well, we temporarily withdrew our tariffs. We postponed them
And you know how like
for
we
that
got
control.
we got new border control from them.
Yes, we did get new border control from both Canada and Mexico.
So no, we didn't get it from Canada. In fact, the takeaway
Well,
from
Canada's throwing a tantrum. Huh?
Okay. Do you have like one solid claim here? Because you keep on like contradicting yourself. You say that we're negotiating with Canada, then I say no, we're actually not negotiating with Canada. He withdrew all negotiations. So then you say, well, he already negotiated something good, such as border control from them. I then turn around and I'm like,
Let me ask you a
okay, why are
question.
you interrupting me?
believe
Are you able to act your age and like not interrupt me?
Okay, finish your thought.
And then you say that, well, he's already negotiated good things for them, such as border patrol. And that's when I turn around, I'm like, no, he actually hasn't. So the original trade deal about new border patrol actually wasn't real. In fact, they just re-announced a policy passed through their parliament in December of 2024. And then you turn around and you say, oh, because that's Canada. That's why Canada sucks. So which one is it? Is he negotiating with Canada or is he not negotiating with Canada? Did he negotiate better border control or did he not negotiate better border control? Because so far you've affirmed all four of those statements.
The tariffs were made to basically control both Canada and
You're not
Mexico.
answering my
And
question. Answer my question. Which one is it? Is he negotiating with Canada or is he not negotiating with Canada? Did he get better border patrol or did he not get better border patrol?
At the moment, he is not negotiating with Canada.
Okay,
but
so
I
there's the
do
first one.
believe
He's
that
not
he-
negotiating with Canada. So when you told us that you liked his
why are
negotiations
you
with Canada,
interrupting?
you were lying.
You act your age?
What's that?
Why are you interrupting me? Can you act your age?
Yeah, for sure, man. I'll act my age. So you answered our first question there.
Okay.
So he's not negotiating with Canada. So then when you say that you liked his negotiations with Canada, you're completely incoherent. Now answer the second question. Did he get border patrol or did he not get border patrol?
He got more control on the border. There are less crossings. There is less drugs.
Okay. So
If
once
you
again-
have a
so once again, that's
verified
not true.
document-
So once again, that's not true. So you announced border patrol from Canada was actually passed in December of last year, before he was president. So that's not true.
Well, it was probably also taken back because they're throwing a tantrum, thinking they have any power in the situation at all.
Okay, I don't even know what that response means. So I mean, are you contradicting yourself again?
Every Canadian state is clapping back against Trump, pretending that they have any chance of negotiating with the U.S.
So which one is
on-
it? Did we get border patrol or did we not? Because you've affirmed you've said that we have gone border patrol and you've said that we haven't gone border patrol like 5 fucking times. Which one is it?
I would say probably not anymore.
Okay, so we're not negotiating with Canada and we didn't get better border control. So then why do you support his ongoing negotiations with Canada that you've affirmed don't exist?
We are not negotiating with them now.
Okay, but you said that we were, and you said that's a reason why you like Trump. But you said that we were, and you said that's a reason that you like Trump. So now you acknowledge
Because
that
when
this is a
you're
reason to not like Trump?
when the person that you're negotiating with is unreasonable, you're not just going to sit at the table forever. Eventually, you have to leave and let them come back with a counteroffer.
Okay, so you think that Canada's unreasonable?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I mean,
They
I just
feel
wanna
like they have a
clarify.
lot more power in the situation than they do.
You don't understand that it's not just Canada who he hasn't been able to get a trade deal with. It's actually every other country on
Yeah,
Earth.
China too.
It's every other country
He
on
has
Earth.
had very beneficial tariff negotiations.
There's
with
not
most
how many
countries.
how many trade deals has he reached in the last 150 days?
How many tariff negotiations have happened?
Answer my question. How many trade deals has
You never
he reached?
answer mine.
How many trade deals has he reached in the last 155 days?
I haven't looked up the exact number of trade deals, no.
It's 0. So is every other country on Earth unreasonable?
He has negotiated tariffs, which, if you include that as a trade deal, countless.
No, there's not a single trade. There's not a single signed trade deal with any other country on Earth. So do you think?
Okay,
that every
that's
other...
not what I said. I
Yes,
said
it
that
is.
there are
Wait, you
tariffs.
said that he like. Oh my God! So now you're walking back on your original claim that you said that you support his idea of like better trade deals. Okay, so what specific tariffs has he implemented? Not talking about trade deals anymore. Literally just implemented tariffs. What tariffs has he implemented that make you a fan of him?
Honestly, all of them.
Okay, so you like
He
the
is
55% tariffs on China that literally make Americans pay more for Chinese goods and don't do anything to get companies to move from
because it's a
China
temporary
into America because it
negotiation
is the place that they'll just divert their products through a third-party country?
Okay, you asked me a question. Did you want me to respond, or did you want to just keep talking over me there?
I wasn't talking over you. I was finishing my question. I said, do you like the 55% tariffs that he imposed on China, even though that just makes Americans pay more for Chinese goods, and it doesn't make any companies in China move to America because they'll just direct their products through a third country?
And I said yes, because it's a negotiation tactic that is ongoing.
Ongoing to negotiate what?
The tariff amounts.
So what do you think he's going to end up negotiating?
A better deal on tariffs for the U.S. specifically.
Okay, what is that deal going to look like?
Probably the same tariffs or dropping all tariffs altogether with every country.
Okay,
There's no reason for milk to cost 5 times the amount if it's coming from Canada as opposed to going to Canada.
So he imposed 55% tariffs on China in order to negotiate 0 tariffs on all countries.
He imposed a lot of tariffs on a lot of different countries. The one on China specifically is, you did say China, right? The 55%, was that China or Canada?
It's China, so I'm trying to identify why you like that.
Because it's a negotiation tactic. It's temporary.
To negotiate what?
A better tariff deal.
What will that deal look like, as I already asked?
They've been working on it for a while. At the moment, it is, obviously we're still rather outrageous with our side. They are probably going to have a counter offer here.
Okay, so what is the trade
Of course,
deal
Trump
look like?
pretended that I believe it was a 25% tariff for China and an additional 30% tariff for China, as opposed to them having a flat 10% tariff on us. And I believe there was another negotiation in there too.
So you're saying that
obviously
you're saying that ultimately he's just going to negotiate China having higher tariffs on America?
No, he is going to negotiate a profitable trade.
But I'm asking you what that profitable trade deal looks like.
The same. 10% from both sides, perhaps.
10% from both sides. So, yeah, China's effective tariff rate on America right now is around 10 to 11%. So, all that he'd have to do to get that trade deal is to reduce the tariffs that we've imposed on them. But he isn't, meaning that he doesn't want that trade deal. So, that's not what it looks like.
He, of course, has other things that he wants from China.
Okay.
Also, the deals aren't finalized either. All of this stuff is still up in the air and has been for the last
Okay, this doesn't change
months.
he could finalize like a flat 10% tariff rate on China than China having that same flat 10% tariff rate on us by just simply reducing our tariffs on them, because that's already what their tariff rate on America is on average. Yeah, I mean, feel free to fact check me. The average rate of tariff that China has on America today is about 11%.
Has that been the case for, let's say, the past year?
So that's the case right now.
What was their tariff rate last year?
So the question of what their tariff it was around 20%. But what that question that question doesn't matter because it is a case. But you said his goal is to get a flat 10% tariff on both countries. So they already have around 11% tariff on us. All that we'd have to do is to reduce our tariffs on them, and he's not doing that. So thereby, that's not the deal that he wants.
That on everything, or just specific goods, or an average of goods?
It's an average tariff, Seth. So can you repeat what I just told you?
That the 10% tariff is the average rate for China, you're saying?
It's around 11.
Down from 20% the prior year?
And more so, what did I say?
That was the one that I remember that you were talking about.
Okay, well,
you talked pretty quickly.
What I said that all Donald Trump would have to do in order to get a average 10 to 11% rate of tariff on both countries is to reduce our tariffs on them. Okay, and he's not doing
I would say that's in the Perhaps he's going for a better deal.
Okay, so
we're towards the end of
what does that better deal look like?
I mean, right now it's just having them sign the deal,
Okay, then
which
what
they are
so
probably not going
so
to do.
you're saying that we've already given them a deal.
This
they just haven't
10%
signed it.
tariff.
So what is the deal that we've
active
given them?
now.
What is the deal that we've given
Just
them?
finalized.
What is the deal that we've given them that they need to sign?
Okay, let me look up the exact numbers if you'd like.
Jesus Christ, you don't even know what you're talking about. Hey, Seth, you're absolutely just insane. But I have to restart the live stream because it is the case that we got a live violation. And stop pushing on the For You page. So, everybody, we are going to go and restart the live here real quick. But before we do, there's a handful of people that I'd like to thank. If you wouldn't mind giving me a second here, everybody, that'd be great. I'd like to thank Layla. Thank you so much for the $15 over on PayPal. Layla says, hi, Dean. I've got my sister to start watching your debates. I could hear her in the other room. Can you say hi to her? Natasha. Hey, Natasha. Thank you for the $15, Layla. As well as Timothy. Thank you for the $10 on PayPal. Timothy didn't leave a message, but I do really appreciate you for the love. I'd also like to thank Claire for the $15 over on PayPal, saying, can I get a Benjamin is king? Dude, Benjamin is king, Claire. Thank you for the $15. As well as Natalie with a 5. Jarvis with a 12. Thank you so much for the love. I hope you have a good day as well, Jarvis. As well as Mallory with a $14 over on PayPal, saying, thank you for advocating for us Canadians. Well, I really appreciate you so much for the $15. That is incredibly kind of you. Now, for everybody watching over on TikTok, we're just going to go ahead and hit a quick restart because this live stopped pushing out in the For You page. I don't know why TikTok did that to us. But we are going to go ahead and do that really quick. We just got a violation on the live, so everybody head to my account page. I'll be right back. And then for everybody over on YouTube, we're gonna go to just restart the live over on TikTok. We're doing that right now. What the fuck is the live violation? Seriously? Yeah, I don't know. TikTok has been incredibly restrictive of us recently. I couldn't tell you why. But what I can tell you is that these guests just absolutely suck, man. That last guy sucked bad. So, all right, and we are back on TikTok. Welcome back in. What is going on, Ramen Lover? What is up, Kira? What is up, LGC? What is going on, Greeny Beanie? What is going on, Camila? What is going on, everybody? All right, what is up, Gemma, Sir Pendleton? What is going on, Ruby? What is up, Bree? Welcome back in to everybody tuning in on that TikTok live stream. For everybody tuning in on TikTok, y'all, make sure that we are double tapping away on that phone screen and hopping in that queue if you support Trump. I'd love to get you loaded into the live so we can have a good faith debate. In fact, we're just going to go ahead and hop right back to the queue right now. All right, everybody, here we go, y'all. Here we go, everybody. Let's go and get that first guest up. What's up, Rocky? Do you support Trump?
Sorry.
That'll be a child. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go, guys. Make sure if you are in that queue that you're at least 18 years old, you are from America, and you support Trump. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go, everybody. Go and let me know down below in that chat if you'd like to join. We're going to start loading up hella people from the queue. Keep in mind, if you are in that queue and you're breaking the rules, meaning that you're not an American adult that supports Trump, I will be banning you. It looks like we got a bunch of people loaded in. What is going on? Rue, do you support Trump?
Oh my god, sorry, I didn't mean to request.
I didn't mean to join either. I'm sorry, I did not mean to join. I love you, man.
Appreciate that. What about you, Dean Witt? Do you support Trump? Okay, he's just spamming words to get the live taken down. What's going on? Ian, do you support Trump? And Ian isn't even here. So we just successfully loaded in 6 people from the queue. All 6 of them didn't want to debate. All 6 of them came up here with some ulterior motive outside of debating. So we're going to go ahead and load in a new 6. Everybody just watch this. Watch how the queue.
I love you, Nate.
Great. Oh, Will, hi. Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent.
Okay.
More than some of the other options.
How old are you?
23.
23. Would you mind disconnecting any Bluetooth device that you have connected to your phone?
Yeah, hold up, bro.
Phenomenal. And Daily Science, what is up? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, where's your anxiety pen?
Oh, you called it an anxiety pen. It's on my lap right now. Hell yeah. So take it away, Will, and Daily Silence. Why do you guys support Trump?
I mean, overall, I would say, like, kind of like what old dude said before, where it's like the lesser of two evils. But I think, honestly, since he's got in, he hasn't really done much of what he said he was going to do.
Apparently you're 17. Get out of here. So take it away, Daily Science. Why do you support Trump?
I just feel like he's a better option.
All right, why is that, bro?
What do you want to know?
I want to know why you think he's the better option. Got to think really hard about that one, don't we?
Can you send me a link for your vapes?
Sarah, thank you so much for the $5 over on PayPal. Nope. So why do you support him? Come on, let's try to find one reason here.
Bro, I'm trying to get a Nick addiction like you, bro.
Okay, cute. Now, why do you support Trump?
Well, because I'm trying to get a Nick addiction like you.
I know, you already said that, man. Don't worry, I heard you the first time. So do you have any reasons here why you support Trump?
No, I don't really care for Trump.
All right, we're going to move on to the next guest, everybody. Guys, we are seriously just looking for people to debate. I don't even know if it's if it's, you know, something's in the air or whatnot, but it is incredibly hard for us to find debates. Oh my goodness gracious. So, if you're watching, you're an American adult that supports Donald J. Trump, let me know down below. We'll get you pulled up here. What's going on, Sally? Do you support Trump?
I do.
Okay, well, that would be a child. What about you, Bridget?
It's not. I'm not.
Bridget, if you'd like to unmute, that'd be great. We'll have a conversation here. Bridget, do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how old are you, Bridget?
I'm 51. I was born in 1974.
That's another troll. Goodbye. What about you, Grant? Do you support Trump?
Can
you hear me?
Yep. Are you driving? Take that as a yes. All right, guys, so at this point, we've seriously cycled through like 15 people. All 15 people that we've cycled through have been not here to debate. Is there anybody watching the live right now that is legitimately a Trump supporter that'd like to come up on the live and have a legitimately good faith conversation with me about why you support Donald J. Trump? Is there anybody watching? Seriously, is there anybody watching? What is going on, Cooper? Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
That is another child. There is seriously only 3 rules to this shit. There is only 3 rules to this shit. You have to be at least 18. You have to be from America, and you have to support Trump. Those are the only 3 rules. We're going to move on to the next guest. What is going on? Do you support Trump? Fact check.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Okay, well, then don't spam MAGA in the chat. Then don't fucking spam MAGA in the chat. I don't know what's going on. Okay, all right, guys. This shit's gonna drive me mad. Guys, okay, all right. Go ahead and drop a MAGA down below in the chat attached to your age if you want to come up here. We have a lot of trolls today. It's honestly getting unbearable for me. Like this, it really.
Yeah, the trolls are really bad.
Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, how old are you?
25.
Okay, all right. Well, tell us why you support the man, the myth, the failure, Donald J. Trump.
Well, one thing I don't like about him is the nicotine. I hope he gets rid of nicotine, you know, so that kids like you stop smoking it, you know, stop being addicted to it.
Well, it's actually not a vape. It's an anxiety pin, but I digress. Tell us, why do you support Trump?
Oh, anxiety pen. That kind of sounds like a little bit of a cop-out for having a vape, you know?
It's an anxiety pin, I swear to God. So do you have any real reasons? Because I actually do think that you're like a conservative Trump supporter. I just don't think that you're like willing to give me any reasons why you do support Trump, because you know if you do, you'll absolutely be embarrassed. So do you want to?
No, it's not that embarrassing. It's more embarrassing to be addicted to vape at that age, to be honest. Looking like you.
I mean, I think that you made that one clear, man. In fact, I mean, I definitely do think it is embarrassing. I could agree there. And because we could agree there, let's go ahead and divert back to you. Why do you support Trump? This is where he leaves, everybody. Crystal ball it. I'm going to crystal ball this shit. He's about to leave because he's out of ammo.
I'm going to stay.
Okay.
Just to say, fuck you. You're addicted to vape.
Oh, okay. All right. So, do you have any legitimate reasons here why you support Trump? Any at all?
No. I'm just going to stay here and keep talking about your vape addiction until you kick me.
Okay. How many continents are there?
1.
Yeah, you're a fucking idiot. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go, everybody. Everyone, do be patient. We got GG Ban V loading up into the box right now, y'all. We are fighting to find one person to debate us. What is going on, GG? Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir, I do.
Yes, you do. How old are you?
I'm 35 years old, sir.
35?
Yes, sir.
There's another troll. Okay, everybody, we only have trolls. In fact, I think that the Trump supporters have just kind of given up. If we can't find a debate here in the next 20 or so minutes, I'm just going to end and not really do a stream today. So let's hope that we can find a debate, everybody. Let's hope that we can find a debate. What is going on? Do you support Trump? Okay, Mental's not here. What about you, Landon? You were spamming MAGA 18 down below in the chat. How old are you?
18.
18. Okay, phenomenal. And you support Trump?
Yes.
Okay, why is that?
I support his I support the tariffs that he's putting out, and I support what's funny, Dean?
Because what's the ultimate gain of the tariffs? Because obviously we could identify the cons. Like the cons of tariffs are going to be American consumers paying more for the bare necessities to live, and doing so regressively, since the less money you make, you'd be spending a disproportionate amount of your income on those goods to live. So, I mean, the cons are inflation and a regressive tax on the poor. What are the pros?
Well,
This isn't fair. How about we get you a friend to help you in the debate? If you want to help Landon out, go to let me know down below in that chat. We'll get you loaded up in here, so hopefully we could give Landon a shot. We're going to go and also load in Brandon, so everybody just do be patient while we get Brandon loaded in here as well, y'all. What's going on, Brandon? Do you support Trump?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, Brandon, you said that, a pro of Trump was his tariffs. I was like, well, the cons are aggressive tax on the poor and inflation for the American consumers. What are the pros?
Higher manufacturing in the United States.
Okay, well, we know that won't be a pro. That's Reeps, definitely because of his mass deportation. We're going to forcefully remove 8.3 million laborers from the labor force, or manufacturers will be crippled, not to mention that these tariffs are exclusive on some countries but not others, meaning that countries in which are tariffed don't have to spend billions of dollars in 3 to 6 years to relocate their manufacturing facilities in America. They could just divert them through some intermediary country, and which does not have tariffs imposed on them by America. So that's not true. Okay, well, Landon, I hate to give you the bad news, but it actually looks like Brandon just fucking left, quite frankly. So it looks like you're still on your own. Do you have any other reasons why you support Trump?
okay. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, can you break down why the deportation's bad?
Well, in
in
fact,
your opinion?
I have a 5.5-minute video on my main TikTok account doing exactly that.
Yeah,
So that's
I
that's
know.
like the one question I'll divert you to that video to watch.
Okay, yeah. So, do you not think it's wrong that there's people illegally coming into our country?
Do I think it's wrong? No, I do think it's wrong. I think that I just think that most of the blame for that falls on our government. So I think that our government has an obligation to right that wrong. Yeah.
So, what would you do about it if you had the power that Donald Trump had?
Yeah, mass amnesty. Better border, better border policies such as quicker, faster ports of entry. So why do you support Trump? We're getting really low quality debates today, everybody. It looks like Landon just left too. Wow, man. I'd say I haven't really seen like this low quality of debates in like a very long time. Very long time since I've seen this low quality of debates. Yo, Sarah, thank you for the $5, as well as Finn, thank you for the $5 as well. That is like an actual newborn. That is like a literal newborn. Finn and Sarah, I do appreciate you both for the $5. All right, everybody. Yo, out of 10, how have the debates been so far today?
Hello?
Rate them on a scale. What's going on? How old are you, Clara?
20,
20, what year you born in?
2005.
Okay, well, it says 20 in your bio as well, and it says 05 in your name. Do you support Trump?
I do.
Oh, Clara, Jesus, no, why?
What? Are you making fun of me right now?
Am I making fun of you? Absolutely. So why do you support Trump?
What? Is it because that video on my TikTok?
I don't know what you're talking about. Do you want to tell us why you support Trump?
I support Trump because I think we need to get all these illegals out of here.
Okay. Get all these illegals out of here. Undocumented immigrants. And why is that?
Well, first of all, this is America. You know what I'm saying? And most people, all these people are dissing on it. And
I'm so sorry. So you said that you're 20, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, there's a video on your TikTok account from 2024,
Yeah?
August 25th, and it is a video of who I'd assume is either yourself or one of your friends taking a shooter of Crown whiskey. That is illegal. That is actually more illegal than undocumented entry into this country. So how the hell can you sit here and say that it's such a grave crime for individuals to enter into this country with the use of undocumented means? Meanwhile, you literally have a video of you and your underage friends doing shots of whiskey.
How old are you, Dean?
I'm the same age as you.
Why are you vaping? I seen it.
Listen.
I seen it. Don't even lie.
I'm not the hypocrite since I'm the one advocating against mass
illegal.
deportation.
Get him out of here.
I'm the one advocating against mass deportation,
You know
so I'm
what?
not the
I'm
hypocrite.
gonna call ice on you, boy.
Okay, you're fucking weird. We're just gonna go to move on to the
that's
next guest.
rude.
Everyone just give us a minute. I can't why I meant it. So we're gonna go to move on to the next guest. Everyone just give us a minute while we get that next guest loaded into the live, y'all. I don't know what's going on with these debates. For like the 7.5 thousand people in here, I'm not gonna lie, guys. What the hell is going on today? I couldn't tell you. I literally, I couldn't tell you what the hell's going on. If you happen to be one of the 8,000 people watching and you happen to be a Trump supporter, let me know down below in that chat. Because these debates today, they fucking suck, dude. I'm going to be honest. Like, these conversations are hard. But it is also incredibly hard for us to find a single person that is ready and willing to come up here and have a good faith argument about why they support Trump. It is nearly impossible because the Trump supporters are running scared. Now, if you are watching and you happen to be a Trump supporter that is not running scared and you are actually ready and willing to come up here and have a good faith conversation, let me know down below in that comment section by dropping a MAGA attached to your age. Also, if you're watching, you're like, hey, this Dean guy's cool, I'd like to support him. Well, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio, everybody. I get 100% of the proceeds over on those platforms. You can even ask a question that I will read off on live. And welcome in, Mr. Jason G. Do you support Trump?
Okay, well, I don't. I in my question, I asked if it would be cool.
Moving on to the next guest. Here we go. Everyone just give us a minute. We are still looking for the first debate. Is it a mirage? Is the first debate a mirage? Are debates even real? Do they even exist? I couldn't tell you. Hello, Chief. Do you support Trump?
Hey, what's up, man? Hold on, let me turn my fans off.
Okay, I'm really hoping that this is a Trump supporter. I'm really hoping that this is a Trump supporter, everybody. What's going on, Cruz? Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a child. So, Chief, I mean, all eyes are on you right now. Are you a Trump supporter?
So I'm going on 28 years old, and I have never actually voted. But if I did vote in this past election, I would have voted for Trump.
Okay, what about you, Benjamin? Are you a Trump supporter?
I totally love Trump, and I love everything he's doing, and I have a valid agreement or argument prepared.
Okay. Chief, just because you didn't vote, I'm not going to give you a voice. We're going to go and pass it off to Benjamin. Benjamin, this is going to be a fun conversation.
It is. Before we get into it, I just want to say I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing week, an amazing month.
You know what? I really appreciate that, man. I hope that you have an amazing day as well. Now, tell us, why do you support like such a terrible president? It just doesn't make much sense.
Well, listen, as a president and as somebody that can lead a country, I support Trump. I support everything he does. Now, if he was a father figure or something, maybe that's a different discussion. But I'm talking about being a president. Now, right now, we're in a time where we need a leader, somebody that can make the hard decisions in this country, somebody that can make the decisions that aren't the easiest and, you know, some people with a big heart can't make.
Okay.
Because you see all this mass immigration happening,
you've
right?
already outruled Trump because you said we need somebody that can make the decisions that aren't the easiest. So you mean like harder decisions to make like intellectually. Donald Trump thinks in 1D. He's a pill brain. I don't know what to tell you. You can't find a single clip of him speaking intelligently in the last 10 years. He hasn't been able to successfully negotiate any policy through Congress. He hasn't been able to successfully negotiate any trade deals with any other countries. He hasn't been able to successfully negotiate even a ceasefire.
He hasn't been able to successfully make any trade deals with any other countries.
Yeah, there's no signed trade deals. Yep.
So, but the thing is if you look in any historic times when there were ever tariffs or trade deals, and yes, there were tariffs when a big crash, great financial crash happened, but it takes time now, longer than 6 months than when he's been in office. And the improvement that we have made, and I'm talking as somebody who studies the markets for a living. I've been an options trader for 5 years now. So what I look at price action, what's happening is Trump not only drew the market a lot lower to help with, it hasn't really affected the bond market yet. And I think that it's actually causing the bond market to be really bad. But with these trade deals, I think he's making it an opportunity to save us from a big crash, because the U.S. has been in so much debt that because of the endless amount of money printing that the Democrats have been doing, that we need a crash. And you can agree we need a crash, right?
Oh, man. Wow. Hey, listen, man, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. The fastest increase we've had in our M2 money supply in the last 10 years was under Donald Trump's first term. Not to mention, he spent twice as much in debt-related spending compared to Biden-Harris administration in his first term. And in the first 150 days in office, he's advocated for the BBB to get passed through Congress that will spend more in debt-related spending than every penny spent under the Biden-Harris administration on non-COVID-related expenditure. So
then
if you care about the debt, Donald Trump should be your very last guy.
So then how come 2020 to 2024 inflation, the housing crisis, jobless, like the job market, everything has just gone terribly wrong from 2020 to 2024 under the Biden administration.
Okay, for sure. Now, we could go over the reasons why that is the case, but I do want to point it out. You are deflecting from the facts I just gave you because your claim is very specific. You said, I support Trump because we need to have an eye on the debt. Well, the fact of the matter is, he wants to sign as much debt-related spending into law with one bill in the first 150 days, or sorry, twice as much than every penny spent by the Biden-Harris administration on non-COVID-related expenditure. He literally wants to remove the debt ceiling, $4 to $5 trillion with one bill through Congress. Okay, and in his first term, he spent $8.4 trillion, which was twice as much as the $4.6 trillion spent by Biden and Harris in their first term. So if you cared about the debt, you wouldn't have voted for Trump.
But here's the thing. Now, the way Trump is using the debt, right? Because both presidents have increased debt, and the problem is the way Biden was using it. The way Trump is using it is by creating a new type of economy that, like, investing back into the United States, getting all these investment deals from different type of countries that we've never had a relationship with before, and using this debt in another way to actually fix it later on. And it kind of sounds like I'm saying some nonsense here, right? But it's kind of like, how do I put this in an easier way of saying it? It's like you need to borrow more money to make more money, to then give that more money back. It's like taking a loan from the bank. You're going to take $2,000. That's not your money, but you're going to make $8,000 from that $2,000, and then you're going to give that back and have a profit. And that's what Trump is doing. He's creating more debt, but it's going to grow.
Do you hate always being wrong? Because even what you said was wrong. You said that Donald Trump has inspired more investment in American industries. No, so he's actually stagnated investment in American industries. And the largest boom that we've had into investment in American industries was under Biden and Harris. And this isn't just me spewing shit out of my mouth for no reason. I'm not lying to you. You could go on Google. You could type in Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, real private fixed investment in American manufacturing. And you'll see that under the totality of the Biden-Harris administration, it went up, 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 up. The day Donald Trump wins the election, in the first 4 months of his term, the first financial quarter of this year, we see a stagnation in said investment.
So here's the thing. Now, obviously, you're obviously going to win this debate because you study more about politics than me. But what I'm saying from somebody that's on the finance side of things is that the job market is going to be better, and it is already on track to becoming better under Trump's administration. And inflation and everything that has happened so far, and these tariff deals are going to drive all these companies to manufacture in the United States, which takes time. It takes time.
I don't think it will. Even if you're saying that it takes time, that if anything makes your argument worse, because mass deportation also takes time. So by the time these companies are actually moving back to this country, mass deportation is well underway, and that's going to be detrimental to American manufacturing. I think that people really underestimate, or at the bare minimum, don't acknowledge the economic impacts of mass deportation and what that means for American manufacturing. What do you think forcefully expelling 8.3 million of their workers does to them? What do you think forcefully expelling 12 million of their consumers does to them? The American manufacturers get significantly weaker, and that's what happens. I mean, they directly contribute $500 billion to the GDP per year, and when we factor in for the labor and which is extracted for the profit extracted off of their labor by their employers, their total contributions are $1.1 trillion through $1.7 trillion to the GDP per year. You think downsizing our GDP by close to $2 trillion every 365 days is going to be good for our manufacturers? Get real, buddy.
Whoa, first of all, I'm going to go back to the point when you were talking about their employees. These are illegals we're deporting. We're not just deporting Mexicans. We're not just like, if you come into the country legally, I don't care what country you're from, you can stay here if you did it legally, if you followed the rules. And they're deporting mainly illegal people, people that commit crimes. And if you look at it, the United States is doing a really good job of it. But look at Europe, even look at Canada. Everything is just getting completely overtaken by too much immigration. Now, immigration is good, right? Countries like Canada and the United States kind of run off of immigration, right? But not uncontrolled immigration. We need controlled immigration. And what the Biden administration did is, over time, they made immigration completely uncontrolled. And it's crazy. Now Trump is put into position to forcefully use a little bit more harder impact to get these illegals out of our country.
Okay, So it's funny because in everything that you just said, you didn't respond to the claim that I made. You said that you support Trump because you think his trade policy will galvanize and strengthen American manufacturing, and I show you how there's overwhelming negative pressures based upon his immigration policy that will ultimately only serve to hurt the American economy, and no matter what else he does, he's not going to make it better than it would have been if Kamala Harris was elected. Let's get that one fucking straight.
Okay, well, we'll talk
Now,
about that.
For all of the points that you just named off, saying that most of the people he's deporting have criminal records, wrong. It's actually exactly 50-50. The second point that you made was that, well, we just need mass deportation. Okay, that's a claim-given argument. And then for the third claim that you made, that immigration has been hurting this country, sure, go ahead and give me one very specific way that undocumented immigrants have hurt the American economy.
Major increase of crime, which increases in the housing market, which increases too many people coming into this country without enough houses being built, which creates a housing crisis, and that's when it's uncontrolled. Now, that alone is a fair argument to say that that's affecting the economy, because when too many people are coming in and not enough houses are being built, there you go.
Okay, so the first thing you said was a major increase in crime. Quite frankly, it is the case that they reduce per capita crime rates. You, as a natural U.S.-born citizen, are 2.5 times more likely to commit violent crimes compared to undocumented immigrants. Now, your second claim about the housing crisis. Well, A, Kamala Harris ran on policy to make houses more affordable. Donald Trump has policy to make houses less affordable. So if you care about housing crises, about the housing crisis enough to deport 8.3 million workers that will excommunicate nearly $2 trillion from our GDP per year, maybe you'd also care about the housing crisis enough to vote for the woman.
Here's the thing. I think the reason why Trump won, and the reason why I truly believe that Trump was a better option than Kamala, and talking about the deporting workers that would help with the housing crisis. At the end of the day, the only fix to this housing crisis and this mass deportation is by stopping the uncontrolled immigration into the country.
Undocumented immigrants have
undocumented
immigrants have a downward pressure on the pricing of houses. So, like, for instance, what percentage of the overall populace do you think undocumented immigrants account for?
No idea.
Yeah, it's like 3 to 5%. What percentage of construction workers do undocumented immigrants account for?
No idea.
Yeah, 1 out of 7 construction workers is an undocumented immigrant.
Okay.
All right, and then
Now-
even on the demand side of the picture, here's something. Do undocumented immigrants have the ability to go to a bank and get a loan to buy a house?
Do undocumented immigrants go to the bank to get a loan to buy a house? I'm guessing not.
No, they don't have the legal ability to get a loan to buy a house, so they're significantly less likely to buy a house compared to citizens. Now, what about renting?
Except the thing is they get government benefits. They have. It's kind of like what's going on in Canada too, and it's very similar. These people are coming into the country and they're meeting the people that are already in the country, and they're getting all these benefits.
All these benefits. Sure, what benefits are they getting from the federal government, buddy?
See, I wouldn't be able to tell you because I'm Canadian, but like.
Oh, okay. Well, I got to kick you because we're only talking to people from America. But the answer.
I lived in America for 5 years, so I mean, if that helps you.
But the answer to the question would be none. Undocumented
Now,
immigrants
hold
don't
on. I
qualify
want
for
to
any
talk
federal
about one more topic before you can go to somebody else, and I want to talk about the war and how Trump is so much better as the option right now in the current. I'm
only talking to people from America.
War country, but I have a valid point here. Come on, just keep me on for 5 minutes and then go find somebody else. I want to talk about war.
have, like,
Do you think
maybe
Kamala
60
Harris
seconds.
would have? Do you think Kamala Harris would have de-escalated the Israel and Iran situation? Do you think
She would
Kamala
have been
Harris?
significantly better for it than Donald Trump.
No,
I don't even
Kamala
think
Harris
that the
would have
situation
not made those.
I don't even think that the war would have existed if Kamala Harris was president.
Not true whatsoever, because the war has been planned for almost 40 years now by Israel to attack Iranians' nuclear facilities.
Did Israel have the logistical and military capabilities in order to bomb some of their facilities in mountains such as Fort Howe?
Yes. Do you not know about the Mossad and the pagers? You know about the pagers and Mossad and how that's been
the answer. The answer to the question is actually no, because they don't have bunker blasters. So now that we know that Israel doesn't have the military capabilities in order to bomb some of their nuclear facility enrichment sites, such as Fordo, well, now we know that they were completely and totally reliant upon America in order to bomb those facilities. So the only reason why they started the war was because they knew that they could get America involved. Now,
What did Israel start with? What missiles and what utility did they start the war with Iran? Not bunker blasters. They used that when they wanted to escalate it so they could finish the job. They used that when the Iranian.
Did you listen to what I said? I don't think that you listened.
You're
to
saying
what I said.
Israel didn't have the capabilities with the bunker blasters, and they needed the help from the United States.
Right, that is true.
Which is a good thing that Israel, the United States stepped in and de-escalated the situation, because if they didn't, this Iranian versus Israel war would be going on for years now.
Okay.
It will be.
I need you to listen to what I'm saying. So why didn't they strike Iran when Biden and Harris were in the executive branch of the government? Is it maybe because they had already placed limits on the weaponry in which they were willing to ship and to give to Israel, and they were as pro-Israel as Trump? So maybe it's quite possible that if Kamala Harris won the election, they never would have struck Iran to begin with, because they wouldn't have as much confidence that she would be willing to jump as high as they wanted.
No, you're totally right.
America
You're
to.
totally right here. Yeah, you're totally right here. But here's the thing.
So we wouldn't have
But here's
even
the
needed
thing.
the de-escalation
We're on
if
a
Kamala
ticking
Harris
time
won,
bomb. We're on a
because
ticking
Israel
time
wouldn't have
bomb.
bombed Iran in the first place. Thank you
Here's
so
the
much
thing.
for
We're on
allowing
a
me to
ticking
shit on
time
your
bomb.
argument. Now we're going to go back to holding to the rules. We are only talking to American adults that support Donald Trump, but I'm happy that I could shit on your argument there. Randy, thank you so much for the $50 super chat over on the YouTube stream. That is RANDI. I want this 7.4 thousand people in here to show some love to Randy down below in the chat for the $50 super chat. Randy, that is so incredibly kind of you, my man. As well as Crystal with a $20 super chat saying much love from Minnesota. Crystal, that is incredibly kind of you. Could we please show some love to Crystal and Randy down below in that chat? I'd also like to show some love to Nightblade for the $5 saying keep being a beast. Appreciate you for that on Vimeo. As well as Kaden with a $3. Thank you guys so much for the love. If you're watching and you're like, hey, this Dean guy's pretty cool, I want to support him, I want to support the stream, I want to support it all, feel free to support me over Venmo or PayPal, which you can find the link to in my bio. I'd also like to show some love to Oscar for the $10 over on PayPal, Jessica with the $12 saying just want to say thank you. I appreciate you for that love, Oscar and Jessica, as well as Abigail with the $10 saying sorry you're not getting good enough debate. Hopefully it means that you're changing their minds. I appreciate you for the $10, Abigail. Thank you guys so much for the love. Show some love to Randy, Oscar, Jessica, and Abigail, and all of the donors down below in that chat. What is going on, Jacob? Are you mega?
Yeah, I'm 18.
You're 18. What year were you born in?
2006.
What month?
September.
Okay. All right. So why do you support the worst president of your life?
Well, honestly, I don't really want to get shut down. I'm just kind of like family based, but I just have a kind of a question. What would Kamala's plan be in this whole situation with the Israel and Iran? Like, what would her rundown be of it?
I want to be able to tell you what she would have done because she's not president. I can only give you reasons such as I did the last cast that indicate that it would have started in the first place, or she would have given it a more intelligent response because she doesn't think in one dimension with like 5 brain cells like Trump does. But you didn't want to debate, so we're going to move on. Welcome. And Mallory, do you support Trump?
Hi, I do, and I'm 19. I'm from Colorado.
You're from Colorado. Where in?
Brighton.
You're from Brighton. Crazy. I lived in Boulder for 2 years. Take it away. Why do you support Trump?
I go to CU Boulder, actually, so that's funny. But
You go to CU?
yeah,
As a Trump supporter?
I do.
That's very rare.
I know, but I'm more so. I came on here because I do have questions for you, and I also want to be more knowledgeable too. I guess on both ends. So for some context, both my older brothers are in the military. And one just got shipped off to deployment in the Mediterranean. He is over there by Iran and Iraq. My first question for you is, like, what are your thoughts, I guess, on that situation as to, like, how it would have changed if Kamala was in office?
For sure. Before I talk to you about that, there's actually something that is, like, a little bit more pressing to me. So you said that your brother's like stationed at military bases near Iran. Well, you understand that Donald Trump literally greenlit Iran to send missiles at military bases in Qatar.
Yes,
Imagine that if your brother was on that base. How would that have made you feel?
Exactly. And so honestly, but what they think about being in that position is that they signed up to be in the military. They signed up to do that job, and so that is their job.
But
They
like
are
having
there
their
to-
commander-in-chief green light missiles being launched at them is kind of insane.
Yes. No, I do get that. However, I do believe that they understand completely that they are there for a reason. They are there for their job and duty to work, and that's it. But however, I guess, could you possibly answer my question? I'm just curious.
Yeah, for sure. Well, on one hand, I don't think that the conflict would have started to begin with. I think that Israel necessarily needed America's help in order to take out the facilities in Iran. And I'm not sure that they were confident that they would have been able to definitely get that help from Kamala Harris. So that's why I don't think that they struck Iran in the last 4 years. They waited for Trump to be president. So I don't know if the conflict would have even started if Kamala Harris was president. And then on the second hand, I'm not sure that Kamala Harris would have made those strikes because it just wasn't an intelligent thing to do. We don't know where their enriched uranium is at. U.S. intelligence tells us that we only set them back by months, as well as it led to higher global tensions, which have now led to the Iranian parliament stripping the IAEA, which is a nuclear international watchdog's ability away from keeping track of their levels of uranium enrichment. So now we don't even know how close or far away they are from having nukes for that reason. Not to mention that there was a bunch of external possibilities of harm towards Americans, such as them shutting down the Strait of Hormuz and causing, global inflation or activating their sleeper cells in America. So I just don't think that Israel would have bombed Iran in the first place as she was president, and B, even if they did, she just wouldn't have interfered.
Okay, and I guess how are you able to make those assumptions? Because you just said that you don't know specifically how or what would have happened, obviously, because she's not in office. But at the same, how are you making those assumptions?
Using inductive reasoning. So, I mean, it's not going to be this is certainly what would have happened, but it's just the most justified assumption I think I could come to. And I mean, I just gave you the reasons for them. I think that Donald Trump is more pro-Israel than Kamala Harris was. This was evidently clear via the limits on weapon shipments and funding that the Biden-Harris administration had sent to Israel. Donald Trump doesn't support those same limits. He has made that evidently clear. I think he's more of a shill for the Israeli government than Kamala Harris was. B, they obviously didn't drop bombs on Iran while Kamala Harris was serving as VP, meaning that they didn't have the confidence that we would have ran to support them. So, I mean, I feel like that's a pretty strong inductive case for the conclusion that if Kamala Harris had won the election, Israel wouldn't have bombed Iran in the first place.
Okay, and I just wanted to clarify also, the comments are saying that they feel bad for my brother because he's there, but he's not. They just left on Tuesday, so he's not there, and he's not there where they were bombed also.
Real quick, Daniel, thank you for the $20 over on PayPal saying smashing the maggots. Thank you so much for the love. Let's get 200 Daniel W's down below, as well as Jonah with the $20 over on Super Chat saying, I watch you every day from Vermont. Thank you for all that you do and good luck on your trip and safe travels. I appreciate you for the love, Jonah. Show some love to Jonah down below in that comment section, and show some love to Nurse for the $20 Super Chat as well. Nurse says, respectfully, why do we care what country debaters are from? We just want an interesting dialogue. A variety keeps it from becoming stagnant and scripted. Point number one, individuals from other countries are less likely to know what's going on in American politics. And point number two, the whole point of this live is to convince people that they should go from being right to being left to strengthen the left's electoral power. And obviously, if I can convince somebody from Britain that they should hold to progressive ideas, that's not going to strengthen the electoral power of left-leaning individuals in America. So, good question, and there's a decent answer. Now, she actually left, so we're going to move on to the next guest. Here we go, everybody. No, but it's a good question. I mean, I understand what you mean. I just think, overwhelmingly, it just doesn't strengthen electoral power in this country. What's going on, old man Jay? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Trump supporter. Yep.
Bro, Jay, why would you ever support such a POS? He's such a terrible, terrible man.
Hey, man, you know the thing I like about Trump, man, is he's an action taker.
Wait. Are you driving?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, can't be driving on TikTok Live. Glad I caught that one. Moving on to the next guest here. If you're watching and you'd like to support me, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio. Get 100% of all the proceeds over on those platforms. But we are going to move on to the next guest, Harris. Also, make sure if you're one of the 7.3 thousand people tuning into the live stream that you are double tapping all over that phone screen. Let's try to get up 2 million likes. What's going on, Harris? You support the man, the myth, the failure, Donald Trump?
Hell no. What's your opinion on his scheme against Iraq?
To kick you out, it is a Brit that doesn't support Trump. Moving on to the next guest, we got Kello loading up in. If you're one of the 7.4 thousand people watching and you support Trump and you want to come up here and have a convo, let me know down below. We'll get you pulled up. What is going on? Kellogg, do you support Trump?
Yes, I do. How are you?
Oh, I'm going to puke in my mouth.
Yeah, you see, you have something every time someone says they like Trump. Is that just like a deflection, or?
No, it's just me trying to keep shit interesting. What can I say? How old are you?
Fair enough. I'm 23.
What's going on, Christian? I appreciate you for being here. Okay, take it away. Why do you support Trump?
How old are you, Dean?
Me? I'm 20.
Okay. So what has made you in the past 20 years of your life choose to be Democratic? Maybe 10 years ago, I would see that being a viable option, but I think Democrats choose some pretty stupid people to follow now.
Okay, who do I follow that's stupid?
Kamala alone.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I really agree with you. It was just so. Let me speak real quick. It was just so crazy for me to choose the prosecutor over the rapist. It was so insane for me to take the lawyer over the felon. Honestly, I cannot believe that I supported, right, the individual with economic policy that would have increased the after-tax income for the average American compared to the candidate that's going to decrease that same after-tax income for 80% of Americans. I cannot believe that I supported the lady that didn't stand 10 toes behind immigration policy that's going to reduce our GDP by an estimated 1.1 trillion through 1.7 trillion dollars per year. And God, she didn't even boast about perving on naked teenage girls like Trump did. Why would I ever support her? She didn't even boast about that. Oh my God, she didn't sexualize 10-year-old girls and she wasn't on the Epstein list. Like, man, yeah, you know what? You've convinced me.
Right, those are a lot of great talking points, but instead you'd rather have a politician who has such a bad way with words that she goes on to 60 Minutes and they clip what she says to make her sound better. She cannot she cannot form complete sentences without sounding like a lunatic. This woman has been.
Then why did she fuck up Trump so hard in the debate? Wait, hold on.
She really didn't fuck him up in the debate.
It was so bad that even he knew he lost, so then he jumped to conspiracy theories, such as accusing her of having an in-piece earring that was feeding her answers to their questions.
It wouldn't be the first time. I mean, my dad just got hearing aids that you cannot see anymore. It's in his ear.
Well, Donald Trump was saying it was literally her earring, but then it was definitely demonstrated to be a part of a collection from Tiffany & Co. Second of all, there's no fucking evidence of that. And third of all, the only reason why Trump said that is because he was coping from getting absolutely destroyed.
Let's not go off of things that are he said, she said, and conspiracy points.
Your argument is literally what she said, you idiot.
What she says a lot is stupid.
Yeah, man. You know what? Honestly, I have a question. How stupid was it when Donald Trump tweeted out saying that Biden was executed in 2020, then replaced with a robotic clone?
I mean, there's some weird Bidens. I've seen Biden clones. There's the 6-foot Biden that we had for a few days. Biden was one of our greatest presidents. He let in millions of illegal immigrants, kind of tore our country to pieces.
Oh my God, you're just like the Republican candidates. I point out something that Trump did that is literally so defensible, then you're like, but Biden's control of the border. Well, let's go one topic by a time. Don't worry, I'll give you your due time to talk about Border Patrol in the last 4 years, whatever. Okay, we'll let you talk about it, but without deflecting this time. How stupid was it when Donald Trump tweeted out saying that Biden was executed in 2020 and replaced with a robotic clone? What has Kamala Harris said that was more stupid than that?
I don't think that's stupid. I think Biden could have very well been replaced. He was very incoherent. He wasn't alive for his presidency, brother.
You completely lost it. You're completely deranged. I no longer, please tell me, what is one thing Kamala Harris that has said that is more dumb than what you just said?
Well, it depends on what state she's in, because she could be talking to her fools like this, or she could be like, well, I'm really respectful to my community. And
were you just like mocking like AAVE? Go ahead and tell me what AAVE is. No, please, go ahead and tell me what AAVE is. Go ahead and describe to me exactly what AAVE is. Take it away.
What is AAVS? Can you tell me?
So I didn't even say AAVS. I said what AAVE is. So you don't even know what AAVE is. Okay, well, it's time for a little bit of a lesson on history. So you just mocked. You made a mockery out of AAVE. So you're referencing when Kamala Harris code switched at a rally in Atlanta. Now, code switching is something that Black Americans do because white Americans view AAVE, which is the African American vernacular English, as quote-unquote ghetto, quote-unquote uneducated. Think it makes them look quote-unquote dumb, less educated, etc. And these are all like racist stereotypes associated with a perfectly valid vernacular. So black Americans have to code switch when they're in front of an audience that will understand that AAVE does not make them uneducated or quote-unquote ghetto, and then audiences filled with a bunch of racist white people that don't understand that fact. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with Kamala Harris code switching. But
Code switching
if
is-
you want to say that a black woman code switching is worse than a fascist raping E. Jean Carroll, you could definitely die on that hill. You're just going to have to make the argument.
Right, and the argument is that there's not a fascist in office. We do not have a fascist president. It's the first time in a long time that we haven't had a president that can be bought.
Great. So then go ahead and, well, actually, A, he can be bought. He's only been given over $230 million by AI PAC, and now he's a shill for Israel. But B, go ahead and tell me one tenet of fascism that Donald Trump doesn't fulfill.
Honestly, Dean, I honestly thought there could be some sort of debate here, but you just like to argue, get confused. I understand it.
Wait, 1 second. Don't back on now. You said that he's not a fascist, so then I responded to that by asking you a very
Absolutely
simple
not a
question.
fascist.
What is one tenet of fascism that he doesn't fulfill?
What, that he's a president. He was elected into office. That in 2020 he said it was, he went on to, I think it was the Rogan podcast, and he said that the election was stolen, but he didn't have all the data. I'd love to see the data.
Okay, so you're saying that he's not a fascist because he was elected in office. Okay, well,
Right.
that's a tenet of fascism. Like, A, you're not answering my question. Like, I asked you for a tenet of fascism that he doesn't fulfill.
Yeah, your setup is just to make people look dumb because you speak fast and you got this like gotcha journalism, but on a podcast. It's interesting.
Okay, well, it's not my fault that you don't have an argument then. Okay, he left too. Everybody so far today has left. What the hell is going on, man? I don't... Fucking hell. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? Moving on to the next guest. And yo, Christian! Thank you so much for the $100 over on PayPal, bro. Christian says, thank you for saying hi and thank you for supporting gay rights, bro. Christian, I love you. Thank you so much for the kindness. I want to see 1,000 Christian W's down below in that chat. Thank you so much, man. Let's get 1,000 Christian W's for the $100 donation. That is seriously so incredibly kind of you, man. Show some love to Christian down below, as well as let's get 250 Taylor W's. Taylor says, thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for the $25 donation. Show some love to Taylor and Christian down below in that box, as well as Caden 23 minutes ago with the $3 over on Venmo. Welcome in, Kai Clips. Do you support
What's
Trump?
up, Dean? Good to see you, man. I don't know if any of your viewers are going to remember me. Way back in my day, before you were on TikTok, there was a thing called the Republican Hype House. You ever hear of that?
I have not heard of the Republican Hype House.
Okay, yeah, this is like way back. I think you would have been, what would it, like 15, I think. It's crazy. Time has flown. But anyway, I was a guy on there.
What is the Republican
and it's
Hype
very,
House?
Yeah, this was a big thing back during the 2020 election cycle. There was a Republican and a Democrat Hype House. I don't know if any of your viewers remember this. This was a really fun era in political TikTok. By the way, just so you don't kick me off, we are going to debate. I do disagree with you. I'm happy to discuss, but this is just a cool part of the lore that I wanted to explore because I see you, I see some of the other new heads here on TikTok, on the political TikTok stuff, and it motivates me. So I'm coming back. I wanted to do a rerun.
All right, bro. This is your comeback moment. Shit on me. Shit on me.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Regain your clout. Regain your notoriety. Beat Dean with it.
Let's keep it topical. Although I think you and I might agree, I don't disagree very much with your critiques of, for example, the conflict in Iran and how Trump has handled that, the influence of the AIPAC lobby, stuff like that. I think you're very right to point out.
Right.
But I think that Trump has actually been pretty good, for example, on the issue of immigration. He could certainly be better. But now we're seeing in the court a recent victory with birthright citizenship. So I wanted to debate you on that. I think that Trump is good for his repealing of birthright citizenship, or his attempt to through an executive order.
What did SCOTUS rule?
Well, the SCOTUS actually ruled something that wasn't, a total upholding of his original executive order. Rather that, these smaller courts couldn't just do this injunction where all of a sudden they could rule for the entire country that it couldn't go into effect. So admittedly, SCOTUS didn't actually, uphold his executive order.
Right.
But the point is,
they just said that federal courts couldn't issue nationwide injunctions.
Exactly, which is what I said.
Yeah, sure.
But,
I mean, I'll do like a little debate with you. But I mean, I'm not.
Why a little one?
Because
Well, a little one.
listen, man, I'm not like a law guy. I'm not a lawyer. Like
I'm not a lawyer.
my
we
defense.
can talk about the philosophy behind it.
My defense that his executive order is unconstitutional is because the 14th Amendment says all persons born in this country are deserving of U.S. citizenship. But if you hit that out with like some fucking trap card, it's unlikely that I'll have a response. But I mean, I think that's like pretty common sense. You know, 14th Amendment says all persons are deserving of citizenship given that they're born on U.S. soil. EO said otherwise. Seemingly, the EO is unconstitutional for that reason. And I mean, that's why federal courts across the country have agreed, and that's why the Supreme Court didn't rule that it was constitutional. What are your thoughts?
Okay. I think the more important argument is not so much what is in the Constitution. It's more so, whether or not the thing that's in the Constitution is actually true, right? Because the Constitution is being reinterpreted constantly. I believe in the Constitution. I think it's an important document, but I would be surprised if you and I have the same perspective of it. Like, for example, Dean, if we were to reinterpret the Second Amendment to have some kind of 180-degree radical departure from its original intent, we were to completely restrict gun ownership, would you be in favor of that?
Would I be in favor of restricting gun ownership? Like all
Or
gun
a
ownership
reinterpretation of the Constitution?
Like to like completely ban all gun ownership?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be about guns. I'll cut to the chase. The point I'm trying to make is that I think you would be in favor of a reinterpretation of the Constitution in such a way that is like a 180-degree departure from the original intent of the document. And if that's your belief, then, well, we shouldn't be arguing about whether or not the Constitution says it's legal.
Okay.
Because to you, it's not all that
So
important.
I don't support that. So, I mean, I support interpreting the Constitution insofar as what is written and what a fair interpretation would be. Now, if like there is a scenario where there's something written in the Constitution that I think should have a 365-degree departure from the words on the document or what a fair interpretation would be, then I wouldn't support just saying like, oh, let's pass a EO to say that we can do this even though the Constitution says otherwise. No, that's not the proper legal channel. The proper legal channel would be like a new amendment through Congress. So completely departing from the Constitution, saying that you disagree with it, we need to completely reinterpret it. If we want to do that, we'd have to take the proper legal channels, which would be a constitutional amendment through Congress. That's not what Donald Trump did. He just passed the EO saying otherwise.
Okay, so if there was a constitutional amendment that said like all of the prior amendments to the Constitution, like the Constitution itself, are null and void, hereby declared null and void, would you be in favor of that so long as it was done constitutionally or legally?
Oh, can that be done? Like, you probably know more about this than I. Is that something that could literally be done?
I don't think it would be done in that way.
I don't know. For right now, I'm gonna remain agnostic on that claim, and the reason I'm gonna remain agnostic on that claim is like I'm not sure that they can do that. But like I mean they might be able to. I just have to do my legal research because all that I'm talking about is like what is legal, because like you're basically. But I just want to like clarify. Like, your position.
Can I stop you there?
Real quick, I just want to clarify. Your position is if you disagree with the Constitution, you just think it's okay to nuke it through an illegal EO.
That's actually the opposite of my point. My point is that the Constitution is constantly being reinterpreted and being redefined to the point where the Constitution eventually in the future, particularly by Democratic people, right, or Democratic politicians or judges, I think at some point in the future, the Constitution that we'll have, especially if, immigration continues the way it's been happening, it's going to be totally different than the founders intended. And I think the Constitution is good, but I don't just think it's good because it allows for its own self-destruction, right? For something to be valuable.
The Constitution is a living, updating document. I mean, I hear this argument a lot. Like, we need to do what the founders intended. Well, the founders intended for us to be able to have the legal ability to amend the Constitution, and a living, breathing Supreme Court, and which is always true, that holds the ability to give their interpretation of what they see fit in the Constitution. But I don't want to get like too far off base here, because remember, originally we're talking about Donald Trump's ban on birthright citizenship. True. Do you think that Donald Trump's EO there is legal?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so then when the 14th Amendment says all persons born in this country have a right to citizenship, it didn't actually mean all persons born in this country have birthright citizenship?
There's a part you're leaving out.
What's the part I'm leaving out?
And subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And that is the place where all of this constitutional debate is going to be occurring, because it's a super unspecific phrase, but it's one that's been elaborated and reinterpreted over time. For example, Native Americans who were born in the United States were not automatically U.S. citizens because they were not sufficiently deemed to be subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. They had their own tribal laws. They were basically, governing themselves. And so they were not automatically from the, inception of this amendment made American citizens.
Oh, so you're right, but the debate that you're pointing out was like, I don't know, what was this? Like the 18th century, when we didn't have like clear congressional legislation that considered
No, this was well into the 19th century.
This was the 19th century when we didn't have like clear congressional legislation defining like the jurisdiction of Native American tribes as having sovereignty while still existing in America. So like the debate that you're pointing out is just merely trying to determine if the land that they were born on is jurisdiction of the federal government, correct?
No. It speaks to a larger argument, which is whether or not these people truly find themselves, to be Americans, whether they consider themselves as such. My idea is that to be a citizen,
so subject to the jurisdiction of, you have to. What do you mean?
Okay, if somebody goes to a country and like disassociates with the government or lives in a community with its own laws, with its own language, separate from the rest of the country, do you think that person is equally citizen of the rest of the nation as anybody else?
Dude, if you have an SSN, you're equally a citizen as anybody else. Yep, absolutely. What?
So here's a question. What then separates an American like you or I from any other person in the entire world?
Yeah, the fact that we have a social security number, at least
so
the way that
8
I'm using
digits.
the term.
So it's like what is it? 8 digits? I don't even know. I have to think about that. 9 digits.
Yeah, like
so
legally speaking,
that is
like using
okay,
using the legal I don't think that American is going to be a univocal term. I think that we could use the term in different senses depending on the context of the conversation. But obviously, the conversation that we're having is going to be a legal conversation about if Donald Trump's EO is constitutional or unconstitutional. In a legal sense, absolutely. Like what defines an American is going to be possessing an SSN, an 8-digit number, absolutely.
Yeah. So what I'm interested in here is not so much like this legal thing, because frankly, that is a total, it's like when people talk about immigration and they only talk about the products of culture. When
I
people
thought the
talk
debate
about
that we were having was about the legality of Trump's EO.
Well, hold on. What I'm trying to point out is that this is kind of like this very reductionist way of looking at the argument. I'm not interested in this idea of like, and frankly, I would say if your idea, and you could disagree, I'm going to give you space here to like redefine being an American as something else. Give me an argument or give me a definition of what an American is that's a little bit deeper, that maybe speaks to something more philosophical or cultural than a social security number. Because you and I don't disagree. Somebody who has a social security number is an American citizen legally, obviously. But I think there's something deeper, because if it's only a social security number that makes somebody an American, every single person in the world is like 9 digits away from being an American citizen. And I don't think everybody in the world is an undocumented American.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm not really too sure on what you want to debate, because you originally
Well,
told
what does
me,
it mean to be an American?
If you allow me to finish. I'm not sure on what
Okay,
you want
fair,
to debate,
fair.
because
That's
you
fair.
originally told me that you want to debate the legality of Donald Trump's executive order as it relates to
That's
banning
not what I
birthright
said.
citizenship. It is.
No, I didn't. I
So
didn't
then
want
what
to
did you
say-
come up here to
I-
debate?
Hold on. I came up to debate whether or not repealing birthright citizenship is good. We could disagree about the legality of it, but I could still think it's good. I'm here to talk to you about the actual moral claims, about the worth of the argument.
Okay.
There's plenty of things that are illegal.
Did I like pull up the
that I could
timestamp on my
still agree
YouTube
with.
live stream and run it back?
Sure.
Like you said that you think that it was legal?
Hold on. I said, hold on. Now you're shifting- hold on. You're-
and then I wait. I could even like rehash like what my response to that claim was, and then how you respond to that. So you made the claim
I
that like
understand.
the EO as it related to burning birthright citizenship was legal, and then I went on to say, well, like obviously I don't know if I agree with you, because when we look at the text of the 14th Amendment, it very clearly says that all persons born in America have a right to citizenship. And then you retorted that. You didn't even say no, I don't want to debate the legality. I want to debate like the social implications or whatever. But no, you then retorted that claim by responding, well, it is the case. Well, if we look at the end of the 14th Amendment, it says subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And then you gave an example about like contentious legal debate in the 19th century as it related to like indigenous Americans born in like unlike Native American tribes. And then I responded to that by saying, well, that was before we had congressional legislation that clearly defined Native American tribes as possessing their own sovereignty while still existing as a part of the greater like federal government. And then you didn't really give me a clear response there. And then you kind of started to change the topic of conversation into this more like social or philosophical debate. detracting from the legality of the EO and just kind of hinging your argument on it being good. Now, I understand if you want to argue I understand if you want to argue the perspective that you think it's like probably a good thing to deny birthright citizenship to the children of undocumented immigrants outside of its legality, and we can have a conversation about that. But before we do, I definitely either need you to respond to the argument that I gave you to demonstrate that it's illegal, or two, just concede and say, Dean, you've won this debate, and we can move on to something else.
Okay. So I think I already addressed the thing you just asked me to respond to. And I hope you're listening still. I know you're looking at your phone, but I hope you're still listening. You literally, in describing the way the debate went, mentioned the fact that I had already responded to the argument about legality.
I know,
when you mentioned that, so
you didn't
I've
defeat
already
my
addressed
counter
that.
response.
We did. That was the point. I said subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof is going to be the thing
I know, but then
your
your explanation of why that's going to like equally dispute the point was because of like some examples that related to Native Americans, and then I retorted that by simply just pointing out it was before congressional legislation that clearly defined Native American tribes as existing as a part of the federal government of the United States of America, and it like obviously is the case that the children of undocumented immigrants born in this country are very like clearly defined as being born on like the sovereign jurisdiction of the federal government. So that argument wouldn't hold water. Now everybody in the chat is saying that the fifth post on your page is racist. Let's go and listen to it together.
Being racist.
Oh yeah, it's literally a video of you saying that you're racist. Why?
That's not the case. That video is so funny, dude. You can admit that's funny. Look, I thought your crash out about the anxiety pen, which was obviously a bit. I don't think that was real.
This is just a video of you saying that you're racist.
That is such a reductionist way of looking at the funniness of that video. What are you like going to watch Tim Dillon? You're going to watch like any person, Andrew Schultz, you're like going to watch a stand-up comedy and say, that was really racist. I'm not going to laugh at any of it.
It is literally a 3-second clip of you like metaphorically pushing the button to say that you're racist, and then the caption says, "I be like Buzz."
Yeah.
I really do think that the only people that are going to laugh watching that are going to be like 12-year-olds that watch Andrew Tate. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, like 3 million people who like the video disagree with you.
Well, I mean, dude, probably 3 million 12-year-olds that watch Andrew Tate.
Let's go. No, but anyway, we'll get back to the debate. So what I'm trying to point out,
dude, what the fuck is, dude? I'm sorry, I'm just still like caught up on that. Like that's insane. I'm racist. 500,000 likes. What are we doing?
I mean, that was a hilarious video. If you can watch that video and you're going to take it entirely serious, like it's a declaration of personal racism, I mean, go ahead, pal, but you're in the same league with the people who think that your crash out over your anxiety pen was serious. I mean, you're doing the same thing that you're making fun of them for doing.
So you're saying that like
am I right or am I right?
It's synonymous for you to say that like I'm just like taking that video seriously as individuals taking like a video seriously of like me crashing out over the anxiety pens. And, the anxiety pen actually exists. So there's two possible responses here. Right, one might say that we have like reason to take it seriously based upon that you're just trying to argue that we should like violate the Constitution to ban citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants. And then on another hand, even if it is the case that it's not serious and that it is just like a quote unquote joke, well, I don't really think it's too funny of a joke. And even if you didn't make that video to make a very standard and serious declaration of racism, it's incredibly weird. It's incredibly weird.
I mean, I thought it was pretty funny, but we can agree to disagree. The same way that people in the courts,
okay, wait. Wait. I want you to educate me.
I'm trying to get to the debate.
Explain to me why it's funny.
Okay. Here it is. There's a timing. I mean, it's not going to be funny now that I have to explain it to you, but I'll do it. I'll do it for you, Dean. There's a comedic timing in the way the buzz works. There is a subversion of expectations. The girl and the guy are involved in this dating Jubilee video, I think, and they have to hit a red buzzer when somebody says, something that the person finds as like a red flag or unattractive. And so the question the narrator asks them, or this like invisible voice, they say, what's a red flag? And the girl goes, being racist. Now the clip is like 5 minutes long. And it's funny because he actually does end up pressing the red button on her. It's just not timed the way that I timed it. But then right as she says, being racist, I jump in and I go, because it's funny, because it's a subversion of your expectation. It goes from this one video of this girl saying like, yeah, being racist is like bad, to me being like, oh, it's actually hilarious because that is regressive and it's totally against, comedic norms and, it's a little bit edgy. I mean, it sounds really cringe saying all that, but then it's even funnier because of the comedic timing of the second buzz.
What if
because
she
it's
said?
another
What if
subversion of
she said?
expectation.
What if she said like a red flag was being like a child rapist, and then it cuts to your video going,
and then you hit the buzz? That would be hilarious, dude. That would be so funny. It's like, and you would have.
Fuck it, dude. Okay, all right. Well, we're just gonna move on to the next guys. Everyone, just give us a minute. We got Donnie Clark loading up in the box. Jesus Christ. All right, everyone give us a minute to get that next guest loaded into the box. Dude, somebody in the comment section said fun police. Oh my God. Honestly, the comedic timing of me kicking him right there was hilarious. Anything and everything's a joke now. All right. Well, that guy was trying to rebuild his career as a Republican on TikTok, and he ended it less than 5 seconds later. So he came up here trying to win a debate. He ends up getting owned as it relates to the legality of Donald Trump's EO banning birthright citizenship, and then says that it can be funny to laugh at child rape and racism. Yeah, he's over. Dude, somebody in the comment section, whoa. Somebody in the comment section says, "You're not some perfect person, Dean." You know what? I couldn't agree more, Abel. Their name is Abel. Abel, I couldn't agree more. I'm not a perfect person, okay? But just because I'm not a perfect person, that doesn't mean that I'm not justified in removing somebody from my live stream because he said it would be fucking hilarious to laugh at child rape. Okay? All right, I think that's perfectly valid, everybody. And now we got the income of all the comments saying you're soft, you're soy, delete your account. Dude, we got the pitchforks. We got the pitchforks against me for just removing somebody off my stream for saying that laughing at child rape is hilarious. Dude, what is going on, everybody? All right. You know what? If you happen to be watching right now and you support Donald J. Trump and you'd like to come up here and have a conversation with me, let me know down below in that comment section. I'll get you pulled up. Oh, my lordy lord. Let's go and move on to the next guest. Here we go. We got Ashton loading in right now, everybody. Do just go ahead and give us a minute to get that next Trump supporter up in here. What is up, Ashton? Do you support Trump?
Yep.
What's up? Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
Okay, phenomenal. How old are you, man?
Yes, sir. 18.
Great. Before we hop into a debate, I got a couple people to thank. Angie, thank you for the $7 over on PayPal. Destiny with a $15 saying that today's my birthday. Happy birthday, Destiny. Show some love to Destiny down below in that chat. And thank you for the $15 donation. As well as Brianna with a $25 donation over on PayPal saying, just wanted to say that I appreciate your eloquence and intellect while you educate and genuinely make people think about their political perspectives. Thank you so much for the kind message. As well as the $25 donation. Brianna, show some love to Brianna down below in that chat. As well as Carl, thank you for the $10 donation over on Venmo. Just saying support. Thank you for the 4 of you guys for your donations. Show some love to the donors down below in the comment section. And if you are watching and you'd like to support me, support the stream, support the studio, you can find the Venmo and the PayPal and the link tree in the bio. Get 100% of the proceeds over on those platforms. So it'll go straight to me, everybody. As well as you'll be able to attach a message that I could read off on live. You could also find them over in the pinned message of the YouTube stream. Now, Ashton, go ahead and take it away and tell us why you support Trump.
I just think I think he's the GOAT. And do you think the tariffs have been more good or more bad?
Yeah, I think that tariffs are bad. Okay, they're aggressive tax on the poor, and they cause inflation.
But SPY and Nasdaq's at all-time highs in the stock market right now.
SPY and Nasdaq are at all-time highs in the stock
We're
market.
getting more and more money as a country.
Okay.
From the tariffs.
And what tariffs did Donald Trump implement to cause the all-time highs?
We get a lot of.
He left. Okay, bye. All right, that was you cut yourself off there. Moving on to the next guests. Everyone, just give us a minute. Olivia, thank you so much for the $5 over on Venmo. I do appreciate you so much for the love. Olivia says, listening. Let's go ahead and read off their donation. Olivia says, talking about grape and hearing guys minimize it is heartbreaking. Thank you for kicking that quote-unquote comedian guy off. Yeah, there's one very clear reason why that's something that we shouldn't do. It just literally novelizes it. What's going on, Oliver? Do you support Trump? All right, Oliver's not here. So we only have 8,000 people in the stream, and there's nobody watching that is ready and willing to come up here and have a conversation about why they support Trump. Come on, y'all. What is going on, Ian? Do you support Trump?
Absolutely, I do.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Phenomenal. And why do you support Trump?
Well, I think this one might be a little interesting because I actually worked on the Biden campaign and voted for Bernie, but I just voted for Trump in the last election.
You worked on the Biden campaign in 2020?
I did.
Nice.
Fortunately.
So why do you support Trump?
Well, I'll tell you, Dean, it's a lot easier when you leave the Democratic Party and stop doing mental gymnastics the whole time.
You think I'm the one that does the mental gymnastics?
Well, I did it for years, so...
Explain to me. Explain that.
Listen,
to me.
Dean,
Go ahead and expose my mental gymnastics. Could you
I'm
give me
not
a clear...
I'm saying, for me, I had to do mental gymnastics for years.
You have to do even more now. I can prove that to you. Are you ready?
I promise you I do not, because it's so much easier.
Yeah, would you say being somebody on the right makes you care about core American values?
I think being someone on the right makes my life just a lot more stress-free. I trust Trump more in office than I ever did.
You're literally engaging in mental gymnastics right now by avoiding answering my question.
Okay, Dean. I am curious, though, about the birthright citizenship.
You're still not answering my question.
Okay, what would you like me to answer?
Yeah, my question was clear. Do you think that being on the right, MAGA, means that you're a patriot that cares about this country and you support core American values?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Would you say that a core American value is the American Constitution?
Yes, absolutely.
So this would logically imply that thereby you'd support the Constitution and not support anybody that purports as a threat to the Constitution. Now, the mental gymnastics that you have to engage in as a supporter of Trump is consolidating the fact that you call yourself a patriot that supports the Constitution with the fact that Donald Trump has explicitly called for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles in the Constitution and violated it 5 times since he gained the office. Now, I'm actually going to go and pass the mic off to you so you could do these mental gymnastics live in 4K. Take it away.
So you just said he said we should violate all rules and regulations in the Constitution.
Yeah, explicitly called for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Yep.
Which articles?
All articles.
Every single article. Can you show me, what source do you have for him saying that?
It's going to be coming from a post on Truth Social in December of 2019.
Can you read it for me?
Yeah, for sure. Donald Trump calls for termination of Constitution. And as soon as I read this to you, you're going to be like, oh, fuck, and then the mental gymnastics will start, and then my point will be clear. This is coming from, once again, Donald Trump on Truth Social in December of 2022. He says, so with the revelation of widespread fraud and deception and working closely with big tech companies, the DNC and the Democrat Party, do you throw out the presidential election results of 2020 and declare a rightful winner, or do you have a new election? A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution.
I don't hear that as him saying, I hope we do that. I think he's trying to make a point about what he felt like was happening in the country.
Okay, so the point of what he felt like was happening in the country that would have been clear via his text was that, the Democrats had stolen the 2020 election. But his takeaway from the point about what he thought was happening in the country was that it would allow for a termination of all rules, regulations, and articles in the Constitution. And that would be the takeaway that Donald Trump called for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution.
I wouldn't agree with that interpretation of it.
Okay, well, if somebody posted on their social media account, imagine that they're like a 16-year-old in high schooler, that because all of the kids at the school have been bullying me, this will allow for a gun to be brought to school and to kill them all.
Yes, but
do you think that would be like a threat of a school shooting?
Dean, again, I don't think that's what he's calling for. I think that's his interpretation of what the Democrats are doing to the country. But if you want to talk about...
Whoa. Now you're just reverting back to the claim that you already made. So I made the claim that his interpretation of what he thought the Dems were doing was that they were stealing the election. And then his takeaway from that interpretation is that would allow for a termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Right? And then that would have been clear as him calling for the termination of those things. You denied that interpretation. So then I gave you an analogy. 1 second. I gave you an analogy here. If some 16-year-old in high school posted on their Snapchat story, well, because all these kids at school have been bullying me, this would allow for me to bring a gun to school. Is that him calling for a gun to be brought to school to kill them?
Dean, my point is that I think you're making a jump of him saying that that's what the Dems were doing to that's what he wanted. I think that's where you're making a jump in logic.
So that's what he said in the tweet. I've not only read the tweet out for you to demonstrate that, but I'm also giving you an analogy to purport how this would be true in a comparable scenario of take it away. So this is the mental gymnastics. Everybody, this was the mental gymnastics that I was talking about.
I would like to do an actual talk about Donald Trump now and how you feel about the Constitution and birthright citizenship, and we can debate that.
Yeah, nice handspring, buddy.
Okay, buddy. Can we actually talk about Donald Trump and the Constitution today, right now?
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about Donald Trump and the Constitution today, right now. Deported Brio Garcia illegally. SCOTUS told him that he did so illegally, and then he said that I don't give a shit. He tried to deport a group of Venezuelan immigrants in northern Texas under the Alien Enemies Act. SCOTUS ruled that he couldn't do that because he was violating his due process. He never gave a response. He had several federal courts rule that he couldn't deport other groups of Venezuelan immigrants. He did it other ways, and then we had those same federal judges turn around and say that we had sufficient reason to hold him in contempt of court. So he seemingly doesn't care too much about the courts. And I mean, this perfectly aligns with the fact that he literally let violent offenders out of jail to roam free on the streets after like pleading guilty to trying to kill cops. So,
okay, well, there's a lot to unpack there. So I'll start with your first example. Do you think that the executive branch, specifically Donald Trump in general, as the president of the United States, should always have to listen to the Supreme Court?
Yes.
Like, absolutely. If the Supreme Court makes a ruling that the executive branch should uphold it?
Yep.
So, Donald, okay, do you think that should go for every president then?
Yep.
Do you think that should have always been for every president? Because I would disagree. I think there have been cases in the United States history where presidents have gone outside the court's rulings and it was beneficial.
Okay. So, legally speaking, they don't have the authority or power to do so. And I'd say that it's actually not beneficial for the executive branch to ever go outside of a ruling from the Supreme Court, even if it is even if it's beneficial in the short term, like it's some like crazy ruling from SCOTUS. The proper thing to do would be to advocate for Congress to quickly pass a new constitutional amendment overruling the interpretation from SCOTUS, so we know that whatever that benefit would be from ignoring the ruling from SCOTUS won't be short term, upheld by the courts, and then ultimately would result in the executive branch conceding or getting sued, but rather a long-term, well-standing new constitutional amendment.
What about when Lincoln went outside of Supreme Court's ruling in Dred Scott?
Explain it to me.
African American and slaves. So in the Civil War, Roger Taney, during the election of Buchanan, ruled in Dred Scott. I'm sure you've heard of the opinion. The Dred Scott decision that African Americans could never be citizens, specifically slaves and their children.
Is that what like started the Civil War?
It was one of the it wasn't what started it, but it was absolutely like a 50% factor to get there.
That would have been justified in that circumstance, since it wasn't like holding through the short term. However, it was holding through the long term. But the way in which it was holding through the long term wasn't by a constitutional amendment in Congress, but was by rather starting a war. I also don't think that we could compare a ruling relegated to specifically saying, ignoring a ruling saying that black individuals can never be citizens, compared to a ruling saying that we can't send this immigrant that didn't get due process, that had a valid withholding order and no criminal convictions, to a center for terrorists in El Salvador.
Dean, okay, let me speak for a minute so I can finish my point.
Right.
I agree. You can't compare. And I agree. Lincoln going outside of that, that's a great thing, because obviously that's a really crappy ruling that the Supreme Court made. My point is there were other instances. During the Civil War, Lincoln was told by the Supreme Court he's not allowed to seize Confederate ships and seize Confederate weapons going in to attack Union cities, because technically it wasn't a war. The Supreme Court was very clear about it. Lincoln did it anyway. There's other presidents that have done this. When Jefferson was told by the Supreme Court that he needed to subpoena documents to them about an insurrection, Jefferson said, absolutely not. I'm not beholden to the Supreme Court. When the Supreme Court told Andrew Jackson certain things on the bank, he would literally write them, you've made your ruling, let's see you enforce it. Okay, so my point is that you said at the beginning that the executive branch should never go outside of the Supreme Court rulings. There are very clear instances in the United States history where executive branch has had to go outside the judicial branch.
Okay. All right. So the reasons that I gave you insofar as why they shouldn't go outside of a SCOTUS ruling is because if they do, even if it is beneficial, it'll only be beneficial in the short term. We need to be focused on long-term solutions, such as a new amendment passed through Congress. And in the examples that you just gave, the long-term solution was like Civil War, right? So it's just simply another long-term solution similar to a constitutional amendment passed through Congress. And then even if I concede that, sure, it is sometimes justified to operate outside of a ruling from SCOTUS, given that it's just absolutely tyrannical, and I'm sure that we could give an an example of that or two, hypothetically speaking. So I'll make a slight concession there. Well, I don't think it was tyrannical of SCOTUS to say that you can't illegally deport this immigrant with no criminal history, with a current withholding order forbidding his removal to a center for terrorists in El Salvador. In fact, I would say that the only tyranny present would be his removal to said. It would be the action of Donald Trump there that is fascist, not the action of SCOTUS that is fascist.
So him removing somebody through an act passed by Congress that was never reappealed.
He didn't remove Abrigo Garcia through the Alien Enemies Act. That's not
Okay,
true.
well, even if he didn't, okay. But you would say, would you say that was a tyrannical offense? That's
Okay, why do you have a repost on your page making fun of Trump supporters?
Probably because I usually don't really use TikTok that much anymore to post.
This was from late January.
Okay, exactly. I probably reposted it. I don't know. I don't really care.
Are you LARPing?
No, I actually voted for Trump in this last election. I worked.
Then why do you have reposts making fun of Trump supporters? It's your only
When was this repost?
January.
January of this year?
Yeah.
Okay, it was probably an accident, to be honest, because I'm quite literally could not care less about the Democratic Party right now. I voted for Trump, and I don't regret it at all.
Okay, so you don't care about the Constitution.
No, I care about the Constitution.
Okay, well, we just agreed that this is an explicit
all I
example of
heard-
him violating the
all I heard for my
Constitution.
entire
On
time
top
was-
of him explicitly calling for its termination. How can you consolidate the fact that you believe that you care about the Constitution with the fact that you literally support a president that has explicitly called for the termination of the Constitution and explicitly violated the Constitution?
I would argue, I don't think he's violated the Constitution at all.
Well, yeah, we're talking about a ruling from SCOTUS dictating that his administration did violate the Constitution with their illegal removal of Abrigo Garcia.
Okay, and he stopped until now. They've re-ruled that executive orders and thank God, circuit court judges can't make nationwide injunctions. I mean, that is you want to talk about the Constitution and the frame.
Their ruling today has nothing to do with their ruling of Abrigo Garcia.
I'm not talking about Abrigo Garcia.
Well, that's what I just brought up. I just brought up, you said that he hasn't violated the Constitution, and then I gave a very clear example of SCOTUS ruling on April 10th, 2025, 9-0 unanimously, that the Trump administration violated the Constitution through their illegal removal of Abrigo Garcia.
Where's Garcia right now?
He's back in America, because finally the lower district court
He got
dictated
back to America.
that they are legally compelled to return him. But this
Exactly.
doesn't change the fact that his removal of Abrigo Garcia to El Salvador was illegal, and this also doesn't change the fact that the White House's response to that was to claim that he's never coming back until they were legally forced to, because a lower district court ruled that they must.
El Salvador, thank God, was trying to help us out a little bit with that, and the Trump administration a little bit with that, but...
So I just want you to acknowledge the fact that you were wrong when you said that the Trump administration hasn't violated the Constitution.
I would argue that Donald Trump wasn't explicitly trying to go against the Constitution when he deported him now.
Okay, so now you're shifting the goalposts from saying that, well, he did violate
Yeah,
the
I'll give you a
Constitution.
little, just like you had to give me
He just wasn't trying to. Do you think if
I'll
he
give
knew that
you-
it would have been
I
illegal,
will-
that he wouldn't have done it?
I will give you a little bit concession.
So my only issue with your further argument here is then after he figured out that it was illegal, he explicitly said that he's never coming back.
Well, he was in El Salvador at that point, so it's kind of hard to get him back once you got him.
He said that he's never coming back.
Well, he's back now. That's all that matters, I guess.
That's
about
not
that.
all that matters. No, because
That is-
the reason that's not all that
I'm
matters.
telling you,
So there's
I
a
will
very
give you
clear
a little-
reason. There's a very clear reason that that's not all that matters. The very clear reason that that's not all that matters is because you shifted the goalpost to having a conversation about Donald Trump's intent. Okay, right? And
It's like you
evaluating
shifted
mind
the
states.
goalpost on the executive branch and the judicial branch. What I'm trying to say is that I think you and I have a very, very clear different view of the executive branch and what the power of the judicial branch in regards to Donald Trump. I think you think that the judicial branch, for example...
Stop pivoting. Sorry, you're completely changing the topic because I'm still debunking your last claim that he didn't intentionally violate the Constitution, he didn't try to, etc. Okay? So the way that I'm debunking that claim, without you pivoting this time, is just to simply point out that after SCOTUS had ruled that he violated the Constitution, he said that he didn't really care and that he's never coming back. Okay? And that's on top of him explicitly calling for the termination of the Constitution. That's on top of him passing an EO that explicitly violates the 14th Amendment. That's on top of him, trying to steal and rig the election election away from Biden in 2020 and then admitting to it in court, right? This is on top of him being convicted of 34 felonies, being held civilly liable for rape, and him calling all of it lawfare. This is on top of him pardoning individuals that were convicted of beating up cops violently on January 6th. It is very obvious that no, Donald Trump does not care about the Constitution. And if none of the evidence that I've gave you so far has been compelling, what should be incredibly compelling is when he told an ABC News reporter that he doesn't even know if he has to uphold the Constitution.
Okay, I will respond to that. So you said a lot of instances there that we could unpack, and a lot of those, none of those were unconstitutional. In what way is him pardoning somebody convicted of federal crimes unconstitutional?
I never said it was unconstitutional to pardon somebody convicted of federal crimes. He's well within his legal ability to do that. But that's so more to make the inductive case that he doesn't care about law and order. Because although we could argue that it is constitutional to pardon somebody for a federal crime, we could also argue inductively that thereby the individual that would pardon an individual for this specific federal crime doesn't care about law and order.
I think you're picking out a lot of instances of things Donald Trump's done and trying to make them fit to not be constitutional. Like, I'm sure you would say that it would be unconstitutional of Donald Trump when he struck the Iranian nuclear sites.
I'm actually not sure.
Okay, because I've heard that argument on the Democratic side, and I'm sure you're going to get this at some point and have to respond to it, that it's constitutional, and you're going to try to frame it as unconstitutional because AOC has been doing that, even though
Okay, so now you're trying to superimpose the views of others on me. That's cute.
Well, I mean, usually the Democrats.
What kind of pivot is this? Do you remember earlier? So you first joined the live.
Well, let's get back to it. No. We can get back to it.
You first joined the live. You said that you are a Trump supporter because when you were on the left, you had to engage in mental gymnastics. Look at the mental gymnastics that you just engaged in. I give you 3 explicit examples of Donald Trump violating the Constitution, and then 2 explicit examples that make it evidently clear that Donald Trump does not care about law and order. Okay? You ignore the 3 explicit examples of Donald Trump calling for the termination of the Constitution. You hyperfixate on the 2 examples I gave of him not caring about law and order. You equivocate into saying, well, Dean, you were trying to argue that violated the Constitution. I make it evidently clear that no, that's not what I was arguing. So then you completely pivot, change, and shift the goalposts. You do these mental gymnastics, and then you try to yield the conclusion, well, Dean, I understand that you've now explicitly said that you were unsure if Donald Trump's strikes in Iran were unconstitutional, but I'm going to ignore the fact that you said that, and I'm going to superimpose another Democrat's view onto your own and say that you're in the wrong for what AOC said. These are all mental gymnastics. At the end of the day, I want you to stop muddying the water. I want you to stop engaging in this sophistry, this mental gymnastics, and I want you just to acknowledge the fact that you said you care about the Constitution, and this is absolutely in a very large contradiction and very hypocritical, given your support of Donald Trump, who is a man that has explicitly called for the termination of the Constitution, says he doesn't know if he has to uphold it, has been illegally deporting undocumented immigrants, and when he does deport them, and it is ruled illegal by SCOTUS, he says he doesn't care, on top of passing EOs that are an explicit violation of the 14th Amendment, on top of explicitly trying to rig, coup, and steal an election from Biden in 2020, then admitting to it in court. I want you to respond to the meat on the bone, and I don't want your response to be just to pivot to what some other Democrat said about some other thing that Donald Trump did, which is a view that I don't hold. Take it away, without the mental gymnastics this time.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Okay. So I think we have a problem here with the meat on the bone, because you're saying that when the Supreme Court tells Donald Trump doing something is unconstitutional, right? I think you think it's unconstitutional for him to say, I don't care. There's nothing unconstitutional about that. Let me ask you a question. Just because the Supreme Court says something's unconstitutional, again, we're getting back to this, are they always correct? Because if you were saying that, then, well, hell, Lincoln, again, in the 1860s, should have just listened to the Supreme Court because it's constitutional and should have never gone after to free the slaves or anything like that because it was, quote unquote, constitutional.
Okay.
Okay.
You're not in law school. You have an echo. Fix that echo. Okay. All right. Well, you're obviously not in law school if you just asked me if whatever SCOTUS rules about the Constitution is always correct, legally speaking. Because the obvious answer there would be yes. Whatever SCOTUS rules about the Constitution.
It was great for the... Okay, wait.
Okay. Yeah, go to make the equivocation between correct,
No.
legally speaking,
I'm talking about legally speaking.
There we go.
Legally speaking, there are mistakes that the Supreme Court makes, legally speaking, all the time. there's no legal mistakes. The Supreme Court members literally in opinions admit they made a mistake when they ruled something.
Yeah, that didn't mean that the standing of the ruling was still true.
Oh yeah, no, the standing of the ruling, absolutely, but they make legal mistakes.
If the standing of the ruling held, then it would have been unconstitutional, violated it, and the ruling would have thereby been constitutional.
Okay, again, but I'm saying Donald Trump didn't do something that's quote unquote unconstitutional. I think at the time, a lot of times the Supreme Court is going to rule something. Okay, let me start over. Excuse me, I apologize. Dean, when Donald Trump, for example, I don't know, give me one of the instances you say he broke the Constitution.
He broke the Constitution in deporting Abrigo Garcia.
I disagree.
Okay, what's your legal standing? Because my legal standing would be a unanimous ruling from SCOTUS. Cute. This is a law student? Damn. While he's doing whatever the hell he's doing, let's see here. Let's see. Finn, 20 minutes ago, the $25 donation over on PayPal. Finn says, watching your streams is a highlight of my day, so thank you, and you are amazing. Finn, thank you so much for the love. Everybody watching, go ahead and show some love to Finn down below in the comment section. As well as Taylor, thank you for the $20 over on PayPal. Saying, I'm sorry that you have to hear the same arguments over and over and over again. Trump supporters say the same thing and they talk in circles. Yeah, that guy talked in circles the whole time. He left. Thank you for the love, Taylor. Show some love to Taylor and Finn down below. As well as Lauren, thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal, saying watching your stream is so satisfying. Keep up the good work. I appreciate you for the $20 donation. The very kind message, Lauren. And then Kristen with the $10, saying I've been thinking about yesterday's court ruling. Yeah, me too. That was a bad ruling. Thank you for the love, Kristen, Lauren, and Taylor. I really appreciate you guys for the love. As well as Hannah, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo. Your lives have made me go to college, and now I'm going to be a civil rights attorney. Bro, let's go, Hannah! Show some love to Hannah down below in the chat. That is awesome news. Holy crap. For the $20 as well. Cassandra, thank you for the $2 over on Venmo. As well as I'd like to thank Logan. Thank you for the $10 over on Venmo for the gas for your trip out to Aspen. Yo, dude, Logan, thank you. Actually, as soon as I end this live in around 20 to 30 minutes, the first thing I got to do is, go pack my bag. But once I'm done doing that, I got to hop in the car and go put a full tank of gas in the whip. So I appreciate you for that. That's incredibly kind of you. Let's go and move on to the next guest. Yeah, everybody, I'm going to be ending the live here in about 30 minutes. I know that I'm going to be ending it a little bit early today, but yeah, I'm driving out to Aspen for a day or two to do an event. And yeah, he's coming to Colorado. Well, I live in Colorado. I'm going to be in Aspen. Is anybody in here from Aspen? It'd be crazy. Yo, V3R, thank you so much for the Galaxy. I appreciate that. What's going on? Do you support Trump?
Yep.
Phenomenal. Mary, thank you so much for the $50 over on PayPal. Thank you for the love, Mary. Mary says, I become addicted to your show and watch and listen to you while doing other things. You give me so much help for the younger people. I feel like your third grandmother. So proud of you. You're one of a kind. Keep going. We need you, Mary. I love you. That is so incredibly kind. Show some love to Mary down below in that comment section for the insane love. Seriously, once again, it means the world. Thank you so very much. That is so incredibly kind of you, Mary. Thank you so much. Show some love to Mary down below. Then once again, if you're watching and you'd like to support me, my Venmo, my PayPal can be found in the link tree in my bio. I've been trying to read off every single donation that has been incoming, and I really appreciate you guys so much for the love. It goes a very long way. Welcome in, Peyton. Go ahead and take it away. Tell us why you support the man, the myth, the failure. Donald Trump is president.
Yeah, sure. So I'm gonna be completely honest about it. I didn't choose him because of policy. I didn't choose him because of his years in term as a president before, because since he might have experience, obviously.
Oh, God.
The reasoning why I actually did was, what's the things where you will go on stage and you'll be like, rooting for yourself to like vote as, like, for people to like vote you as president. What are those called again?
Like
those
the rallies?
Yeah, rallies. At certain rallies, like if you look at the one that Kamala Harris had, she had Megan Thee Stallion, dude, and like there were like little kids there, and she had them like twerking on stage, and I thought that was pretty inappropriate. And I know that Trump had
a dance party with Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce. Okay.
I mean, I felt like that was pretty immature. I mean, as a group.
Yeah, Donald Trump's literally a rapist.
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't think that is proven. I don't think that is proven. I don't think that.
That's been proven by a civil court.
Oh, then I didn't know that. But regardless, I just think that from that stance in itself I thought it was immature, and like I don't want any like problems here with anyone here. I had a vote at a certain time, and I want to speak on it. And I might think that Trump, in a sense, in a way, showed more maturity that day than Kamala Harris did at that certain
Donald
time.
Trump has openly boasted about perving on like naked teenage girls. He's held civilly liable for rape. He said on a 10-year-old sexualizing them. He said that he did his daughter if it wasn't his daughter. What the hell are you saying?
Are these proven?
Yes. Every single thing I just said has either been proven in court or something that Donald Trump has admitted to, like on recording.
Okay. I don't know. I would compare. I would have to compare that Megan Thee Stallion is not the equivalent of Kid Rock. I would think that.
Okay, who'd you rather have? A rapist or like Megan Thee Stallion on stage for 20 minutes?
You mean the girl that slept her way to the top? I would rather have. Well, actually, I don't think.
Oh, say it! Say it! Do it! Do it! No, seriously, I want you to continue that statement. I really want you to continue that statement. Yeah, tell me that you would rather prefer the rapist over the woman because you're a misogynistic POS. No, please, say it. Bless my ears. Bless my ears with the music. Come on, let me know.
Last year I voted Joe Biden, so let's not do that. So
I'm so sorry. This doesn't like respond to my argument whatsoever. Joe Biden's not a woman. You just about said that you would prefer the rapist over the woman that slept her way to the top. I gotta ask you a question. Why do you say that Kamala Harris slept her way to the top?
Vice President.
Why do you say that Kamala Harris slept her way to the top?
I would say this personally. Like, if you look at her personal life and like all the things that she's done personally, and then you look at the people who she was involved with, it was a lot of men. And I would personally say, for what I would think, I think she did that.
Okay, so what men was she involved with that just made it evidently clear she slept her way to the top?
Okay, bet Joe Biden.
Wait, you think that she fucked Joe Biden?
Yeah, I do think so.
Dude, this is honestly just like, this is so fucking gross and misogynistic. Like, oh my God. Like, let me just explain this to you. Imagine that you were born a woman, okay? Let's just imagine that for a second. Imagine that you were born a woman and you excelled in your career because you were an intelligent, educated, sharp, incredibly well-rounded individual with good personality and a nice brain on your shoulders. You went into politics. You started as an attorney. You worked your way up to DA, AG, senator, and then you were able to run as a vice president on a presidential ticket under Joe Biden, okay? And then just because you're a woman, now shut the hell up, just because you're a woman, then all of a sudden you have shitty men such as yourself that go out there and say, well, no, the only reason she is in this position is because she probably slept with Joe Biden. The only reason why you say that is because you are a deplorable POS misogynist, okay? You've never said this about any man. You've never said this about anybody but Kamala Harris because you cannot handle the fact that there is a woman that is successful to the extent of not just being better than you, but also being better than your quote-unquote icons, the 34-count felon rapist. All right. I think it's deplorable. I seriously just think it's so disgusting. And you know what? This is what leads to men being absolutely isolated. One thing that isn't talked about enough is how this toxic masculinity, red pill culture, obviously we talk about it and how it has bad impacts on society, on women, but something that we don't talk about is how this has bad impacts on the people that spew this bullshit. Like, dude, Payton, you go out and you tell anybody that Kamala Harris was the VP of this country only because you thought that she slept with Joe Biden, you are never going to get a date in your life.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there'd be a lot of women here who are in the red pill that pretty much would agree with that too. And the other stance is that I'm not actually red pill. I've voted for many people who actually aren't red.
Okay, we're just going to break down your misogyny. Watch this. Why do you think Kamala Harris slept with Joe Biden in order to be the vice president to his presidency?
So you're asking me why do I think she slept with Joe Biden?
Yes. That is exactly the question that I'm asking you. Here's exactly what's going to happen, because I have a crystal ball. You are going to fail to come up with any reason. You are going to stumble trying to find any specific evidence to indicate that this is true. And then ultimately, when you fail to provide any reason, evidence, or explanatory power behind this belief, that's when I will step in and I'll say, thank you so much for proving that you're a misogynist and the only reason why you're saying this is a woman. Take it away. But I just crystal balled the hell out of you. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Sure. I don't base my things off of evidence. I actually base my views off of like a personal feeling, the way that you guys do as blue pills. That's what I do.
Okay, great. So exactly as I just said, it's actually worse than I said, because I said that you'd fail to find any evidence and you just like stumble upon trying to find nothing.
Congrats.
But
Yeah,
no, you
that's
make the
congrats.
concession in less than 3 seconds that you don't have any evidence for what you believe in and that you're literally just dictating this specifically off of your feelings. Oh my
From the
God.
start, I
Yeah,
said
yeah,
everything
yeah.
was
Oh,
wrong.
you know what? And so instead of building your beliefs off of reality, you build your reality off of your beliefs. No,
I
please
said that in
tell
the
me
first
what
place,
what might be driving this feeling? Okay, what is driving the feeling that she slept with Joe Biden in order to be his VP?
What's driving the feeling? It's just how she acts, the way she acts around other people.
Okay,
the
so
way she
specifically, what has
presents
she
herself.
done? What is she? In what ways has she acted to indicate that she slept with Joe Biden?
One, the thing with Megan Thee Stallion, that is bop culture right there.
So having Megan Thee Stallion on stage meant that she fucked Joe Biden. I'm sorry. Do I need to like explicitly detail how there's like absolutely no connection between those two events and it just makes you look
Again, that's a
insane?
personal feeling, and I'm going to explain to you, but you.
Oh, look at you and your big feelings, little bro. I'm so sorry that you haven't developed
You have
your
big
brain
feelings.
since you
You're
were
a
4
blue
years
pill.
old.
What are you on
Listen,
about?
man. Holy shit. Dude, I just feel like you're actually not even a human. Like you're like an alien from Mars. And that must mean it's
biologically
true.
I am.
I just feel that, you know, like the earth isn't round. It's not even flat. It's kind of like a donut shape. And like obviously my evidence for this is yesterday I had like a nice cup of coffee before I started my live stream. And you know, obviously you could point out that me having a cup of coffee before I started my live stream has literally zero connection with the shape of the earth, but it doesn't fucking matter because at the end of the day, it's just my feelings and I wouldn't appreciate it if you critique those feelings.
Yeah, it's your feelings.
Right, exactly. So see how I was able to point out that your feelings here that dictate that Kamala Harris had slept with Joe Biden in order to be that position is basically to the feelings that a toddler experiences when they close their eyes and think that they're invisible to their older sibling or parent trying to find them in a game of hide and go seek?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Phenomenal. And what does that make you?
What does that make me, Dean?
I'll spell it out. STUPID.
STUPID. As not, but okay. You can say that if you want. The thing is, though, is that at the start of this, I've done actually said it was all about my feelings. I've done said that, and then you were to cooperate and
Why did you request to join to debate? Like this is actually a good faith. This is a genuine question.
because I want
How am I supposed to debate your
prove
feelings?
to me personally why I should have voted for Kamala Harris in that certain time, and I want you to prove to me why, if I had a certain feeling, and if I was to only view it from a rally stance, why should I have voted for Kamala Harris if I looked at her rallies, if I looked at everything around me, if I looked at the certain amount of groups that certain rallies had, and if you looked at that from a certain view?
Sure,
Trump-
I'm about to give you the most compelling reason in the world why you should have supported Kamala Harris.
Okay, and like there's no.
Are you ready?
There's no beef here. Let's
Okay,
hear it.
I want you to critique this reason. I want you to tell me why.
I want
my
you to
reason,
answer that. You haven't
Okay,
answered
I'm going to answer it. But I want you to
Okay,
critique
right
my
now.
answer. I want you to tell me why my answer is insufficient in giving you like motivation to support Kamala Harris. Okay?
Okay, bet.
I think that you should support Kamala Harris because I feel like it.
Okay, bet. That's a great feeling.
So go
Okay.
ahead and tell me why that answer to your question was insufficient with giving you justified motivation to change your worldview.
All right, I'll bet. I'll answer back. I understand your feelings and I get how you feel, but on another stance about how you feel, I can have a personal feeling too. And I can have my own certain views and standpoints.
Okay, so then basically like 3 seconds into the debate, if we are just to operate off of feelings, we basically just come to the conclusion that I can't grant
Yeah,
any
your feelings
explanatory
are right
power
and
for
my
what I
feelings
believe, and you can't grant any explanatory power for what you believe. So if you don't believe that we could grant explanatory power for what we find to be the case, and this is the best way to explore and know more about the world around us, you would agree, therefore, that we shouldn't use any objective form of reasoning that serves the purpose of creating explanatory explanatory power, such as the scientific method, such as like scholars in education, academia, etc., like such as institutions of research, right? Academia, the scientific method, and institutions of research serve ultimately no purpose, since the ultimate standard for truth is just how we feel, right? And because academia, for fields of research and the scientific method don't ultimately amount to feelings, and they explore like the useless field of like objective forms of reasoning, we should outspell them from society and like get rid of them, right?
Yeah, and when it comes to
did
that,
you say yes?
Say yes to what?
The fact that we should outcast all other forms of reasoning from society, because the ultimate standard of determining like knowledge or learning more about reality would be our feelings.
On what stance, though? Because there's certain things that on any stance, I wouldn't say on any stance.
Okay, so what kind of stances do we need the explanatory power to justify, and what kind of stances do we not need explanatory power to justify?
I would put a stance on it if it is your personal belief in your feelings as a person. As a human being, you obviously have the personal beliefs as a blue pill. Obviously, correct?
Okay, so you're saying that we don't need explanatory power to
You
justify
didn't answer
our
that.
beliefs?
Yes or no? Do you have the stance on blue pill, correct?
I don't even know what you mean by blue pill. Oh, do I have the stance on
Democratic Party? The Democratic Party. I think we all know what blue pill is. The Democratic Party.
I share some beliefs with the Democratic Party. I don't share others.
Okay, great. And with that stance,
Jesse, thank you so much for the $50 donation over on Venmo. Jess says, absolutely love the content I listen to daily. Continue to own these idiots. Oh, well, yeah, we're definitely owning them today. I really appreciate you so much for the $50 donation. Can we please show some love to Jesse down below in that comment section? Let's get at least 500 Jessies down below, y'all. Let's get at least 500 Jessies down below. As well as Shelby, thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo, saying, have a safe trip, and here's a little something to get you munchies on the road. Thank you for speaking up for all of us women who are sleeping our way to the top. Me and my family love you, Dean. I love you too, Shelby. Guys, please show some love to Shelby and Jesse down below in that comment section right now. Show some love to Shelby and Jesse down below in that comment section right now. Thank you guys so much.
John 416, thank you for the donation to the Republican Party. Thank you.
Oh, you're crashing out.
I'm doing it too.
But the difference is you didn't get a donation. I did.
I'm having fun. Come on, a little bit of fun. Come on.
Okay, so I mean, at this point, I don't really see any like further reason to continue to debate, because ultimately, like, you basically you don't get the right to speak. Shut the hell up. I don't really see a continued purpose like in this conversation, because ultimately, I was able to reduce you down to saying that we need to reject all forms of intellectual reasoning, and it is only the case that the only way you can reason the conclusion that you should support Trump is by rejecting reasoning.
No, I didn't say that. I said on a certain stance. You actually didn't make my claim, or let me make my claim until you said someone else's name.
The certain stance and reference would be the stance that makes you support Trump.
Yeah, and that would be your personal beliefs.
Then once again, what I said was true. Well, once again, what I said was true. The only way you could reason the conclusion of a stance that you should support Trump is by rejecting reason.
The same reasoning how you feel that your vape pen is an anxiety pen, dude.
Yeah, I was like cute. Now I actually addressed what I said.
Like, no, you haven't answered that, because like your feeling is that that's an anxiety pen when it's actually a vape pen. So I want you to answer how you would personally feel if someone else gave their reasoning and their feelings about your vape pen.
Wait, you think I'm fucking? You think I'm serious about the pen? See, this is why we had to stop the joke, because conservatives are so low IQ, they can't take a joke. Get the hell out of here. Honestly, so that was a new strategy. So let's just go ahead and decompress what we just saw while we're hopping into the next debate. That guy employed a new strategy. The strategy that he employed was telling us that he supports Trump because he rejects logic, he rejects reason, and he rejects evidential stance beliefs. Stances related to a belief based upon evidence. So, yeah, no, we had fun there. Get owned. Welcome in, Lexi. Do you support Trump?
I actually don't.
Based alert. W Lexi in the chat while we move on to the next guest. Here we go. Let's go and load up that next guest here, y'all. Who's next? Make sure if you're in that queue, that means that you support Donald J. Trump. Will you still line up in the box? Jaden, thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal, man. Dude, show some love to Jaden down below in that comment section. That is Jaden. Jaden says...
Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome in, man. Jaden says, gonna miss you when you're on break, but you deserve it. Watching your lives makes me audibly gasp sometimes. Thank you for being on the right side of history and calling out these terrible people, Jaden. That is so kind of you. Thank you so much. I love you. Show some love to Jaden down below in that comment section, everybody. That is Jaden. Thank you so much, seriously. Will you still deny? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, man.
Okay, how old are you?
Huh?
How old are you?
I'm 19.
19, and what time is it?
It's 2:48.
Phenomenal.
I live in Florida.
Why do you support Trump?
Huh? Because my parents did, and I don't really see nothing wrong with the guy. He's a really likable guy.
Okay, I'm gonna give you something wrong with him. Are you ready?
All right, I'm ready.
He's been held civilly liable for raping a woman.
Huh?
He's been held civilly liable for raping a woman.
Oh wow, that isn't valid. I'm not gonna lie.
He's hit on a 10-year-old.
Oh wow.
He's boasted about walking into women's changing rooms to look at the naked women.
Oh wow. He actually did that?
Yeah. He said he dated his daughter if she wasn't his daughter.
What?
Yeah.
This is preposterous.
Okay, and he's a troll.
What?
Moving on to the next guest. We got Veins coming up in here. Here we go, everybody. Hello, do you support Trump?
Cookie King Mogs you.
So real. Do you do it? Do you support Trump? Guess not. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go, everybody. Give us a minute to get that next guest up in the box, y'all. We're just looking for one last Trump supporter of the day. We probably only have time for one more debate. Everybody. Hello, do you support Trump, Luke? Goodbye, Luke. Bye-bye now. Goodbye. We got MH King loading up in. Last debate of the day here, y'all. Last debate of the day. Once again, hey, if you want to support the stream before I hop off for the next day or two, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio. I get 100% of the proceeds over on those platforms. As well as, I think I've been doing pretty good at shouting out everybody and reading off all of y'all's attached messages. Welcome in, MH. Are you MAGA?
Hell no.
Based. I would really appreciate it if all the liberals could stay out of the queue because I seriously only have 10 more minutes. I want to try to get one last debate. Hi, do you support Trump?
I do.
Oh, God. Ew, why?
I think he purports more of a Christian ideology compared to Kamala Harris.
How so?
Why you laugh at that, man?
Because I think it's like abundantly false, but I'll let you make your argument nonetheless. How so?
Okay, so I think that just like the social issues that he speaks on and like critiquing the social issues that we see today in society is very prevalent within like the young mind, right? So he can cultivate that kind of culture, not necessarily like he himself has to adhere to Christian ideology, but since he's speaking on these social issues with such like grotesque manner, it
like
provokes. Like I would say like abortion. I would also say like the. I don't know if I can say it on TikTok Live, like TRANS.
They're back to being pretty restrictive. You'll get a hate speech ban if you talk about trans people.
Okay, so that, but like just like all these other like different like normal like I don't know how to say it, but these social issues that are like prevalent within society, he talks about them like a lot.
Yeah. I think that he should be pro-choice. I think that the fact that he's pro-life is a reason to not like him. I'd say that the pro-life worldview leads to human rights violations against women and girls, reduces the qualities of life on average, purports lower levels of education, lower wages on average, and higher levels of poverty.
That doesn't necessarily like disprove or discredit my opinion.
Well, if your opinion just once again isn't really considered with the empirical outcomes of these things, but it's rather that we should just like adhere to this Christian view. Well, I mean, I just reject the Christian view. I'd say that there's no good reason for adherence if it only promotes bad outcomes.
Well, you're literally like a party to why I think that it is true, because you yourself had like seen these like things that Trump is doing bad, right? In order to do that, you would have to come to some moral conclusions on different social issues, which you have. Right, and I think I agree majority of the part of like what you.
Okay, well, I mean, I think that I could justify my moral conclusion. So how about you justify yours?
I'm not saying your moral conclusions are wrong. I'm saying your moral conclusions are right, and I'm saying that the fact that you had the like critical thoughts in order to go to that type of conclusion, right? That's why I think Trump would be a good president, because you like. Let me say this right. Like you,
I'm sorry, man. Now I'm lost in the sauce because I
I
think,
got
I
you.
think where we left off on was you saying that you support him because he reports these Christian ethics, and then I was just going to ask you to justify those Christian ethics. And now, like, you seemingly you don't want to do that, and what I'm getting off of you is you're basically just saying that they're true because they're true.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Let me clarify real quick, okay? So what I'm saying is right. Like I'm pretty sure whenever Trump was first put into office, right? Like you had some like differing opinions whenever he was, correct?
Right. So I had opinions and still have opinions on why I don't like him. How does this relate to your view?
So yeah, this is what I'm going to, right? So he doesn't necessarily have to adhere to a Christian ideology. For the majority of the parts of your moral deductive reasoning, I agree with, right? Like the things that you hold like viable.
You don't understand my critique. I'm saying like him like socializing the idea that abortion's wrong. That's something that we shouldn't want. That's something that's bad. We don't want that. You're saying that's a good thing. I'm asking you to tell me why that's a good thing.
I agree with you saying that's a bad thing, but I'm saying that in order for you like this to cultivate within society to be such a big prevalent issue, it has to be spoken on like on the main stage to like a different manner. And I think he speaks about it so grotesquely it allows for the entirety of society to come to critical conclusions of like your moral basis.
Oh shit, so did Hitler.
Dude, you're still not getting what I'm wrong. Like that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying,
Dude, I've heard like 3 possible arguments so far. I thought that the first argument that you're making was that you support Trump because he's against abortion and he gets more people in society to be against abortion. Is that your position? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay. So then the second position I think that I've heard here is that, well, he's against abortion. It's very grotesque, but this just inspires more critical thought and gets individuals such as me and you to come on live and talk about these things in a more like logical, like cohesive, intellectual way. Correct?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's your position?
So I think that's an important part of my position.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, so did Hitler. All right. You know, like bad people tend to do that. When bad people do bad shit, individuals turn around and protest that bad shit. Rather it's through like activism or through like having like intellectual discussions about why it's wrong to try to convince other individuals not to hold to the same views. I would say that this is going to be an expected outcome every single time a bad person does something bad. So basically, right, your logic would imply that anytime a bad person does something bad on a large stage in front of a lot of people, it's actually something you support because of the conversations in which it would start. And there's actually another way that we could frame this conversation because it's basically just a take on utilitarianism. You're essentially saying that, well, when a bad person does bad things, it basically sparks a lot of good outcomes by people being more like wary of those bad things, being more like mindful of those bad things.
No, my first premise was saying.
So then why do you support a bad person doing bad things?
No, I never said that. I said the first premise that I proposed to you was that since he's speaking on these social issues with a grotesque manner, it invokes like society to have more critical thinking on it.
Yeah,
Now,
I accept that. I don't think that's a good thing though. Like I like listen, man. Like in the same way, like let's imagine like this hypothetical that like a woman got raped when she was 14 years old. She grew up and she became one of like the most efficacious civil rights activists ever. She was able to completely eliminate grape culture in America, and this is all consequential of her originally being raped when she was 14. Even though, right, her activism and her critical thoughts surrounding that action of her being raped and promoting more mindfulness about grape and harm against women and like the broader society. That'd be good. This still doesn't mean that she should have been raped in the first place, right? So in a very similar note, although that we can agree that like this is a good outcome, the silver lining of the Trump presidency is individuals being more mindful of these conversations, being more critical, and engaging more like nuance and more intellectualism to discover like why what he believes in is wrong in a more intellectual manner. This still doesn't mean that he should have been president in the first place. And because this doesn't mean that he should have been president in the first place, either you have to reject that he should be president right now, which means that you don't support Trump, or you just have to give some other argument insofar as why he should be president.
Yeah, I reject that because it kind of puts me in a state of a false dichotomy. So I don't necessarily have to say that I do condemn him on his actions, but I can also purport like or saying like a reason why I support him was because of the things that he's doing right now, which is invoking thought inside of society for more cultivating conversations about like political issues.
Oh yeah, I already gave a rejectio ad absurdum to that view. Once again, that's basically a bad person does bad things, but it creates a good outcome. The good outcome in this circumstance would be more critical thought of surrounding these issues, and that good outcome justifies a bad thing originally being done. My reductio ad absurdum to this position was a woman getting raped when she was 14, growing up being very critical of like grape culture and harm against women. She goes out, becomes the most successful grape activist ever in America at any point in history. She ends grape culture. That was a very good outcome from the bad thing that happened to her, but does this mean that that bad thing should have happened to her? Yes or no?
Yeah, false dichotomy again. I reject the hypothetical.
Wait, I didn't even give you a dichotomy. Wait, what do you? What's a false dichotomy? You're misusing the phrase.
I guess I'm using it synonymously with a different term. But what I'm saying is that I'm saying like you were putting me in a position of a hypothetical that is not necessarily analogous to the situation that is at hand. right?
Okay, so repeat the original argument that you gave, then repeat the hypothetical that I gave that was synonymous to the original position that you gave, and then go ahead and verbally state what the difference between the two scenarios is that makes them uncomparable in a logical sense.
Of course. All right. So the first premise that I gave to you was saying that, hey, that since Trump is having such a grotesque manner of speaking about these social issues, having this political thought processes that allows society to like kind of get riled up in the sense of like promoting more political thought, this in turn is good for society because invoking more political thought is good, right? Now it's not analogous to the situation because the person that you're referring to instead of the hypothetical you gave me had something vile and deconstructive done to them, which doesn't necessarily it doesn't cohere to the other argument that I gave to you.
Okay. All right. Well, then I just need to explain to you a little bit more about what the use of an analogy can be in a debate. So they don't need to be cohere in all senses, including those in which would be irrelevant to the given position. If they did need to cohere in all senses, including those in which would be irrelevant to the given position, well, then it wouldn't be an analogy. It would just be the same thing. Think about it. Maybe if you give me the argument that you were pro-life because you think that all living humans have the right to life, right? And then I use the example of a brain-dead patient to say, well, thereby you think it's murder to pull the plug on a brain-dead patient. Well, I mean, obviously there's going to be a list of differences between the brain-dead patient and the fetus, such as the fact that a fetus, right, is not brain-dead. However, right, that would be a difference. That would be true in one scenario, not true in the other. However, this difference would be irrelevant to the point of your argument. The point of the argument being that you would grant the right to life to all humans that are alive. So very similarly, in the analogy that I'm giving you, I could absolutely agree that in the scenario I granted in response to your position, the harm would have been caused by the individual in which was inspiring the change. And then as it relates to your position, the harm would have been caused to the individuals in which Donald Trump would be speaking down upon, or who would be suffering the negative consequences of the policy that he's implementing. However, this difference would be irrelevant in the sense that what I'm comparing very specifically is an action that we look at, we say it's bad, and we can't say that it's a good action just because of the good outcomes in which it would generate, such as in the analogy I gave you in of grape culture in America, or in the position that you originally gave, like a higher level of enlightenment as it relates to individuals having critical conversation about American politics, policy, Donald Trump's rhetoric, and Donald Trump's statements / beliefs. So I hope that describes how the difference that you were able to point out is ultimately irrelevant to the logical comparison I made. And the logical comparison I made still holds to be true under the pretense that you think that a bad action is good, given that it generates some good outcomes in turn.
Wait, so do you think that all good actions that have all outcomes that have good actions necessarily are bad just because they were born from bad actions?
No, that's not specifically what I said. I do believe sometimes that an action can be good based upon the outcomes in which it would generate. However, I do believe that this is not going to be true in all scenarios, and I believe that we could just intuitively agree that this isn't going to be true in the scenario of somebody.
So you and I agree.
This isn't going to be true in the scenario of somebody having their human rights violated. This would be true as it would relate to a woman being raped, and this would also be true as it would relate to a woman being denied access to an elective lethal abortion without any overwhelming compelling reason due to the fact that that would be a human rights violation of her right to bodily autonomy. So because Donald Trump's rhetoric and policy has resulted in human rights violations, I don't believe any good outcomes such as a higher level of awareness of these conversations is going to override the original harm caused by the human rights violation.
So you don't think that it's an ultimate a good consequence just because it's contingent on the fact that he is violating certain things?
Well, now you're equivocating and misrepresenting my argument. I never said it's not a good consequence. I just said that good consequence doesn't mean that the action that it began with was good in turn.
Yeah, so I think you just kind of misheard me. I said that you don't think it's ultimately right for this to be a good thing. It shouldn't be the most important factor inside of the reasons why you should support Trump because it doesn't override the contingent factor of it being born out of a bad thing.
It doesn't override the contingent factor of it being born out of a bad thing, and then that bad thing generating negative consequences alongside the positive consequences, such as 66 million human rights violations upon American women and girls. I'll obviously take a worldview where individuals are slightly less intellectually stimulated as it relates to philosophical conversations about the nuances of abortion, compared to a worldview in which includes that nuance with 66 million human rights violations because American women and girls are having their right to abortion violated upon. Also, earlier using the term false dichotomy, I also think that you are suggesting a premise of a false dichotomy. I don't think that those two views would be exclusive. I think that we could have a view where women and girls have access to abortion and there's more nuanced thought as it relates to these conversations.
So you know where I'm about to go with this. So then I was about to ask with you, saying just because all right, things that are inherently bad, right, and they have good consequences subsequently from that. So would you agree, right, now necessarily Trump is a bad person, but yes, these things that he's promoting inside of society are good things, like this specific situation, like enlightening society would be a good thing, now then I would have to ask you what would be like the contra to the argument.
I mean, I just gave it to you.
Yeah, but
like what is better than that is like not having the 66 million human rights violations.
Yeah, but you also said it's not
position on abortion.
Yeah, but you also gave the hypothetical. The hypothetical you gave me was based off of a woman who had something. Her bodily autonomy was violated, which is completely grotesque. But I'm saying that's the reason why it's not analogous to the situation. The thing is happening.
The 66 million American women and girls that have lost their right to access elective lethal abortions in America, and like 26 of our states are actively having their right to bodily autonomy infringed upon.
I understand that. I completely get that. What I'm saying,
thereby it is analogous, because in order for like society to be having these nuanced conversations about like abortion policy or the philosophical moral underpinnings, right, it would necessitate that Donald Trump holds to the bigoted position that abortion is wrong and people shouldn't have access, which would thereby imply the real world outcome of these American women not having access. So yes, like your view does indeed hinge on these 66 million American women not having access to abortion in America. And if you like to argue that it doesn't hinge on it, right, you're going to say that it's wrong, well then you'll have to explain to me why it is the case that in reality, in the world that we live in, it does, right? Because right now, 66 million American women and girls have no access to elective lethal abortions.
I fully understand that. You restated that like 7 times. I'm completely clarified on your position instead of this hypothetical.
This isn't hypothetical. This is reality.
Okay. Well, the reason why I think that it's not necessarily pragmatic from the situation that you gave me was because it was a like basically what I would deem 2 bad things born out of a good person, right? So a good person had their bodily autonomy violated. Now I'm giving you wait.
You're still talking about the analogy of like the woman getting raped and then turning around and like ending grape culture in America, not justifying the original action.
You flip flop my argument.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I've completely moved on from that scenario because I find it much easier just to argue the pragmatics of what's happening as a result of Donald Trump. Like, what would you prefer, right? Individuals to be more in line about intellectual conversation about abortion with 66 million human rights violations, or individuals being slightly less intellectually stimulated without more conversations about like the philosophical underpinnings of abortion without 66 million human rights violations?
So now you're changing the question.
Yes.
Okay, so
this is just a significantly better question.
Yeah, you're pivoting from the last question to a new question, even though you gave me the first question.
I mean, when you say pivoting, what do you mean? Because like I'm giving you a significantly better question that's going to like better fit your intuitions and the parameters in which you've set forth, given your position. I find it more productive for me to offer you this position compared to the last one, because it will be easier in defeating your view. It'll also be more clear for the viewers, because I'm no longer making like a little bit of a far drawn out hypothetical to a woman getting raped in any rape culture in America, and I'm just simply asking you a very like clear comparison of, would you prefer 66 million human rights violations plus a little bit more enlightenment as it relates to intellectual conversations about abortion, or a little less enlightenment as it relates to intellectual conversations about abortion without 66 million human rights violations?
So then concede that the hypothetical that you initially gave me was wrong.
Okay, well now you're actually setting up a false dichotomy. Just because I've chosen to give a better one doesn't mean that the original one I gave you was wrong. Like, think about it this way. Do you like chocolate ice cream?
Then why give me a different one?
One second, I'm going to show you. Do you like chocolate ice cream?
I do like chocolate ice cream.
Is there any other ice cream that you like more than chocolate ice cream?
Honestly, no, like mint chocolate chip maybe, but
okay,
like no.
Okay,
it's like
so you like mint chocolate chip ice cream more than chocolate ice cream? Oh, well, because you just told me that you like mint chocolate chip ice cream more than chocolate ice cream, this means that you must now concede and tell me that you don't actually like chocolate chip ice cream.
No, I'm just saying, I'm saying it's a toss-up between the two. I didn't say I necessarily like one more, but I'm saying that
okay, well then give me a comparison between 2 ice cream flavors. What's one that you like one more than the other? Do you like chocolate more than vanilla?
I really couldn't tell you. Oh,
well, now you're just being dishonest.
No, I'm being so serious. I'm being so honest with you. If you give me any other type of like question.
Okay, what's your favorite soda?
My favorite soda, that would have to be Dr. Pepper.
What's your second favorite soda?
Cherry cola.
Cherry cola. Okay, do you like cherry cola?
Yeah, I do.
But you like Dr. Pepper more than you like cherry cola?
Yes.
So then go ahead and concede and tell me that you don't actually like cherry cola.
I like that less.
Yeah, phenomenal. So you're just able to tell us that you think that both of the flavors or sodas are incredibly valid. You enjoy both. However, you think that one is more enjoyable than the other. So how this would relate to your question, getting me to concede on the last example that I gave you, no, it is still the case that the last example that I gave you would hold to be the case. However, I do find the new scenario in which I've given you to be more indicative of what's actually occurring in reality, so it's closer to the modal scope of the real world. It's also going to better fit and serve your intuitions. You would push back against the other scenario that I gave you, then to make this scenario invalid, but I'd rather give you a scenario in which you you don't have pushback against. And 3, I think it'd make it more clear to the viewers watching, because I'm no longer employing some hypothetical, but I'm actually talking about the real world consequences of your position. Your position being the fact that you think that Donald Trump is a good president, that you enjoy him and his policy because of this good outcome of individuals being more intellectually stimulated about good discourse relating to the philosophical underpinnings of abortions. However, in reality, this necessarily comes alongside the downsides of his anti-abortion rhetoric and policy, that being 66 million American women who have had their human rights violated and do not have elective lethal access to abortion. Now, the alternative view would be less intellectual conversation about abortion, but we wouldn't have those 66 million human rights violations. So which view is preferable? More intellectual conversation about abortion with 66 million human rights violations, or less intellectual conversation about abortion without 66 million human rights violations?
Can I not agree with one part and then not disagree with another part from both sides of the argument?
The reason why you want to be able to do this is because it is true in the world we live in that yes, we do have more intellectual conversation about abortion. However, it's also true because of what caused that intellectual conversation about abortion, it also caused those 66 million human rights violations.
Yeah, that's where the disconnect is. I don't think that it necessarily is contingent off of one another, right? So like just because I don't think that the reason why the most like more intellectual, like I'm not even
wait, are you denying that because of Trump we have 66 million American women and girls that don't have access to abortion? Unbelievable.
I think you're strawmanning my argument. I don't think I've ever said that. What I'm saying is basically saying.
So then, did he cause it or did he not?
It's a culmination of different factors that I'm using.
Did he cause it or did he not? Please tell me.
Okay.
No, answer my question. Did Donald Trump cause 66 million American women and girls to not have access to abortion?
More than happy to, but you did not answer my question firsthand, so I'm going to. No, you didn't ask. You didn't answer my question.
This guy's just a sophist, everybody. So if you're curious of like what this guy has come up here to do, he's come up here to engage in sophism. He's come up here to be absolutely unreal. He's come up here to try to purport a view that's just not true of reality. He's trying to argue that he likes the silver lining of the Trump administration, that being sparking more intellectual conversation about the nuances of abortion, etc. And Dean is being super based and super commonsensical and just pointing out, the same thing that is sparking those conversations about the intellectual nuances of abortion and so on has also caused the implementation of Donald Trump's bad policies, such as the fact that 66 million American women don't have access to abortion. Okay, obviously, if we didn't have Trump, we wouldn't have that silver lining in a conversation, but we just also wouldn't have those 66 million human rights violations as it relates to women's restricted access to abortion. And now, for whatever reason, he's trying to argue that we can have this silver lining without having those 66 million human rights violations. No, we can't. Donald Trump overturned Roe v. Wade. That's a position that Donald Trump supports. He wants abortion to be in the hands of the state. So as long as he is president, as long as he's anti-abortion, as long as he does not think that that women and girls should not have elective access to these things, right? Those 66 million American women and girls will not have elective access to said thing. Okay? And it's the fact that those 66 million American women and girls do not have elective access to abortion is what is sparking the conversation about abortion in the first place. Do you think I get on live every day and I talk about how the immediate issue in America today is the fact that there's so many women that don't have elective access to abortion? Do you think I do that for some other reason than the fact that those women don't have elective access to abortion? Do you think I'd be talking about abortion as much as I do if Adriana Smith wasn't treated as a literal human incubator because of Donald Trump and his policy? Do you think I'd be talking about this as much as I do if there wasn't 60 great victims every single day that are denied access to abortion? Absolutely not. So that silver lining of individuals having more intellectual conversation about these things is directly caused not just by Trump's rhetoric, but also by his policy. So these things do come together.
That was not in the confines of the debate that it was proposed to me. Okay, I'm not saying I would agree. Hey, let me get about a good minute of just agreeing with you so that you can have a basis of understanding where I'm coming from. I would agree that it would be sophism, but what I'm not trying to do is find a silver lining. But the confines of the debate was why do you support Trump? I gave you a reason why I support Trump, and you don't think that it's held to the same level of validity as your position. While I'm still condemning the same things that you condemn, but I'm also agreeing with the things that are also you agree, but somehow we can't necessarily here together.
Okay, well, see, this is okay. Now I've identified the fundamental issue in your position. You are unwilling to talk about the negative outcomes of the Trump presidency. The confines of the debate is supposedly only supposed to be about the positive outcomes of the presidency. So in other words, no matter what the negative outcomes of the Trump administration are, no matter how much harm they generate in American society or on the global stage, as long as he generates this one specific good outcome of individuals being more intellectual and holding these conversations, you are still going to support him, correct?
No.
Okay, so then it is the original confines of the debates to do comparative analysis of the pros in which the Trump administration would generate and compare them to the cons in which the Trump administration would generate to determine if he generates more pros and cons or more cons and pros. So when you said that wasn't in the original confines of the debates, you lied.
No, I did not lie because it says, "Why do you support Trump?" You didn't specify like why. Why would you not support Trump overall compared to the other candidate? What I'm giving you is a reason why, because it's literally on the top of your head. Why do you support Trump? It's not necessarily specifying the same like the level.
Okay, but yeah, I'm defeating the reason that you gave us insofar as why you support Trump by showing you that there's overruling concerns of harm that he's generating.
I'm sorry, man. I gotta go.
No, you don't gotta go. Don't run away yet. Because think about it this way: you're identifying a no, don't run away, bro. Please don't run. Please don't run. You identified a pro. You said you like the silver lining of promoting more intellectual conversation in America, and then I'm just demonstrating to you that the same thing that is sparking that intellectual conversation is literally 66 million human rights violations. You're getting them out at me. You're telling me that wasn't in the original confines of the debates. You have no obligation to even consider this counter argument. You understand that this is just like me saying that I support Trump because he passed the First Step Act in his first administration. Like, obviously, anybody with a brain would respond to that by saying, well, Dean, sure, okay, I can agree with you. The First Step Act was good. He did sign that into law in 2018 while he was serving in the executive branch of the government. But look at everything else that he's done, such as cooing the Capitol, such as trying to rig an election, such as the 66 million human rights violations upon American women and girls, such as the fact that he's been held civilly liable for rape, such as the fact that he was convicted of 34 felonies. Like, obviously, a conversation comparing the pros and the cons of Trump are going to be necessary in order to see if you justifiably support him or not. You can't just isolate and identify one good thing that you like about his administration and then say, yep, that's it. That's a wrap. Is sufficient reason for me to support him.
That's not one thing though. Saying that society is getting enlightened is a cumulative decision based off of like the nature of politics, right? So like if the enlightenment of like minds across America are talking about these social issues to a higher degree now, that would be like a level of validity for me inside of my argument. So it's a cumulative decision that I'm making. It really is a cumulative decision.
But it's not enough validity. Just like you'd be a level of validity in me and my argument insofar as why I support Trump to say that he passed the First Step Act. But just because we could provide some reason doesn't mean that we're providing sufficient reason. Can we agree there?
Yeah, but you're saying I can't condemn the different things that he's done wrong. Well, I think that it's cumulatively like right for him to enlighten the minds of America.
Well, I'm not saying that you can't condemn that in reference for you saying that it's cumulatively right for him to enlighten America. I'm saying that you can't reference that insofar as your claim that thereby you support Trump. So you just equivocated when I said you can't compare.
So you don't think that I can so basically what you're saying is that I can't think that enlightening minds of America can still be like on a higher level than the human rights violations or like condemning the Constitution or a number of different.
Okay, now you're finally getting somewhere. You're finally answering the question that I asked earlier. So you basically do think no, you can. Okay, but let's see if you do. So you basically do think that some level of enlightenment to introduce individuals into more conversation about abortion is more meaningful than prevention of the 66 million human rights violations in which cause that level of enlightenment. Well, just the analogy here is going to be is that you think the Holocaust was good because you're going to think the level of enlightenment related to anti-Semitism, human rights violations, and treating people like people, regardless of their race, regardless of their ethnicity, and regardless of their religion, is going to be more meaningful than the prevention of the Holocaust in the first place, which was the genocide of 12 million individuals, which was portrayed as 12 million human rights violations.
Okay, so I may be in the wrong here. So just like let me clarify another thing real quick. So you think, right, just because like I can condemn the different actions of Trump, right, saying these things are wrong, and I can hold those things accountable for him to be wrong, right? But I'm saying the significant proportion of like America having a level of like political enlightenment cannot be better. Like saying that can cumulatively be better than human rights violations, while still condemning the human rights violations is wrong of me to say.
Yeah, I would say that's wrong of you to say, and I'll demonstrate.
Okay, so please tell me why that's wrong of me to say.
Yeah, do you think all things considered, the Holocaust was a good thing because it inspired more cumulative thought on the global stage, not just in one country like Trump, related to human rights, humans, and treating people like people, regardless of their race, ethnicity, or religion, and so on?
No, I don't think that it should have. Like, wait, I'm so sorry. That was a lot. I got lost.
Do you think
in
the enlightenment that the world gained from following the Holocaust justified the Holocaust?
No, it did not justify the Holocaust.
Okay, well then why would the enlightenment that America, not the world, that America would gain following 66 million human rights violations as it related to women having restricted access to abortion justify those 66 million human rights violations as it would relate to those women losing access to abortion?
Right, so I don't think those two things are comparable because like I'm pretty sure 7 million people like died, right? And then there's like 66 million people that have human rights violations, right? So I can argue from a stance of saying that just because 7 million
I never said that the two situations were comparable insofar as the level of harm caused, but I definitely did say that they weren't comparable insofar as the level of enlightenment. One inspired,
right, so you would agree
one
that
inspired worldwide enlightenment, one inspired like local enlightenment in one country.
What? So yeah, so you agree that it's worse, right? The Holocaust was worse?
Do I agree that yeah, fucking court. Well, how about
Of
this?
course,
Actually,
right?
I don't want to compare travesties.
Thank you.
But what
That's what. Thank
I
you.
don't want
would
to
like
compare
another.
travesties. But I just want to clarify how, like, imagine that the Holocaust like only killed 500,000 people.
Okay.
Would you say that thereby the Holocaust would have been justified because of the enlightenment that it caused?
No.
Okay,
No.
what about 100,000 people?
No.
What about 500,000 people? Sorry, what about 50,000 people?
No.
What about 20,000 people?
No.
What about 1,000 people?
Still no, man.
What about 50 people?
No.
Or what about one person?
I could make a solid argument for that.
Okay,
I can make a
for
solid
50.
argument.
Okay, well,
I can account for one person's.
I would definitely say that
I can account for one
66 million human rights violations, as it relates to women and girls having restricted access to abortion, is definitely equal or worse than 50 individuals dying. Okay,
Right.
So if you don't think that global enlightenment followed from 50 people dying would justify the 50 people dying, then how can you say local enlightenment in one country from 66 million human rights violations being committed would justify the 66 million human rights violations being committed?
Yeah, but that would imply that they're contingent off of one another, and they're not contingent off of one another.
They absolutely are. Wait, the Enlightenment, insofar as individuals being like
okay, so
more
now-
intellectually
now-
founded
okay.
in America, as it relates to abortion, is absolutely at minimum contingent off of Trump being president, right?
So no. The reason
What?
why.
Wait, so then you don't support Trump as president? If it's not contingent off of Donald Trump's presidency, then it'd give you no reason to support his presidency. You'd
Well, you
necessarily
kinda
have
give
to
like a
argue that
vague,
this outcome is
fast,
contingent
grotesque
upon his presidency
oversimplification of
in
it.
order for you to use it as reason to support him as president.
It's a grotesque oversimplification of what I'm saying. That's why I don't.
No,
like-
it's not grotesque at all. It's absolutely not grotesque at all. You're trying to use this as reason to support him as president, meaning that it must be contingent of his presidency. Whenever we're trying to provide any reason to support a president, we're only going to be evaluating reasons that are contingent of the presidency.
Yeah, okay, I agree that it's contingent off of the presidency, but I don't think it's contingent off the 66 million human rights violations.
Would you say something else that is contingent upon the presidency is the 66 million human rights violations?
Sorry, what?
Would you say something else that is contingent of his presidency is those 66 million human rights violations?
Yes, but I don't think they're
Okay,
derived from
well
the
then,
same place.
wait, they are derived from the same place. The presidency. You just agreed that both of those two things were contingent upon his presidency, meaning that yes, they are derived from the same place.
Can you coherently state to me, right, that those two things are clearly distinct?
I don't understand your question, nor as it relates to what I just said.
There's no two distinctions between the two. So like you can't tell me that it derives from the same place, right? Just because it's on the basis of the presidency, right? There's
Wait, the basis
actions-
of the presidency is the place that they're both being derived from, thereby they're being derived from the same place. What are you talking about? You literally
Yeah.
just agreed that they're being derived from the same place.
the presidency as a whole, but the presidency has a different cumulative different factors inside of the presidency that put these or purport these things to society. Would
Right,
you
but
not
we're
agree?
talking about the presidency as a whole because we're discussing why you support the presidency as a whole.
Okay, yeah, but what I'm saying,
Wait,
right,
did you disagree that you're trying to give a reason why you support the presidency as a whole?
okay, yeah, here we
You
go.
did
Here we go.
no. Shut up. I want a yes or a no. Are you trying to purport me reason on this live insofar as why you support the presidency as a whole?
Yes.
Okay, so then thereby, because they're both contingent upon the presidency as a whole, my argument is valid.
Yeah, well, it's valid, but it's not held to the same level of validity as mine, and I'll explain why.
Okay,
So what?
bro, I'm sorry. This is literally just fucking sophistry. Admit to being a sophist and leave. Like, there's absolutely no intellectual stimulus that is being provided to me or anybody
no
watching by your
sophism.
words. Yes, this is absolutely sophism. You're trying to argue that you could support this, like, one pro, even though there's all these other cons. Once again, what is a relevant distinction between the argument that you're purporting and the argument that you should support Trump because he passed a first step back in his first presidency? Oh, even though he did, like, all of these other harms. Or honestly, what is a difference between the argument that you're purporting and somebody saying that they support Hitler because he went to art school and made cool artistry, even though he also did the Holocaust? And then maybe when I point that out, they're just like, well, although they're both contingent upon Hitler, they're like contingent upon different regions of Hitler.
Of course. All right, then I'll explain. The reason why is because I can't hear a contrary argument with that's not using like fallacious or logical fallacies inside of the argument to dictate mine. So just because that you were saying these certain things, right? Like I agree with you for the most part. Like I'm not saying that you're inherently wrong, but what I'm saying is right. Just because that there's bad things inside of like a presidency does not mean that it's contingent off of another good thing. So what you're saying is there's a bad thing there's a good thing born out of a bad thing, and I'm saying there's a good thing born out of just a thing. Right, and I can also agree with that. There's bad things that come out of the presidency, but I don't think it's inherently correlated with the fact that
So then,
it's 66 human.
wait. So then I could say that I support Hitler because he was really good at art.
No, this
Why can't I
not
say
even
that?
comparable.
Why
It's
can I
not
not? Wait. Tell me why somebody can't say that. Why should somebody say Hitler? Imagine they said that Hitler was a good man because he was really good at art. Why can't somebody say that?
See, this is like just a very disingenuous question.
Answer the question. Don't just call it disingenuous. Actually answer the question.
Okay, I can reject the question because it's false.
Oh,
Like,
wait.
what?
Questions aren't propositions, meaning they can't be true or false.
No, I can reject the question because it's hiding a fallacious internalization, like the fallacious intention behind it.
Okay, so now you're just saying that, oh, Dean, you have bad intention when you ask this question. Okay, you just conceded. Thank you so much for the debate. It was so obviously
How did
a
I
waste of
even
my time.
concede, man?
Yeah,
I'm
sure,
going-
because you're not answering
I
my
don't-
question. Why can't
Dude,
somebody say that they support Hitler because he was good at art? Would the common sense response to that be because Hitler also did the Holocaust, and the Holocaust was worse than the positive outcomes generated by the fact that he was good at art?
That's the obvious answer, but you're trying to equivocate it to my decision.
Oh, fucking hell. So let's look at how this compares. So somebody can't say that they support Hitler because he was good at art, because he also did the Holocaust, and the Holocaust generated worse outcomes than the good outcomes generated by the fact that he was good at art. So therefore, I could say that you shouldn't support Trump, even though he has inspired more conversation in America related to nuanced discovery of truths and philosophy of ethics and abortion, because of the overriding harms generated by Trump as it relates to the 66 million human rights violations on behest of American women and girls that have actually lost access to said abortion. You cannot tell me I'm wrong. I'm going to let you try, and it's going to be funny as hell.
Okay, so would you like to argue on the basis of the human rights violations being human rights violations?
See, I won. Because now you have to debate that they're not actually human rights violations. So go ahead and concede the last 30 minutes of debate.
I'm not going to concede. I just said we would have to.
So then tell me why that comparison was wrong.
So would you, before I move on to this point, right, we would both have to agree that we would have to argue the human rights violations being human rights violations.
Yeah, you could do that after you concede that you were wrong, because that's actually the next step. So the first step would you be accepting that, yeah, Donald Trump, if he were to generate more harm than good in the presidency as a whole, you shouldn't support him. Okay, and that's the point that you've been rejecting for the last 30 minutes. So given that they are human rights violations, me pointing out that those 66 million human rights violations would generate more harm than the good generated via more intellectual discovery about philosophy of truth, you wouldn't have a justified position in supporting the presidency as a whole. Go ahead and concede. Seriously, man.
No.
Don't be the sophist. Just concede.
I will concede to that. I will concede to that contention that you gave to me. But what I'm also the reason why I'm conceding, right, is just off the basis of the fact, in this specific position, in this very pragmatic presidency, right? What I'm saying, the relativity.
Just say that you were wrong. I don't want the big words. Just say, Dean, you're right. I was wrong.
Yeah, you were right on the context of that. I agree. But what I'm saying, I just want to make sure that we can both agree that the political enlightenment of the world is obviously a very good thing. It's a very I would hold it with the same level of importance as compared to different other things. But just
boom. Thank you so much for the concession. I ran 26 minutes over when I was supposed to end because I wanted the concession from this office. I cannot believe that it took me exactly 36 minutes to get him to just concede, just to be honest, that if Donald Trump's presidency generated more harm than good, then he shouldn't support the presidency as a whole. It literally took me 36 minutes to yield that conclusion. So that's why I called him a sophist, okay? Because what sophists will do is they will reject the most fundamental, obvious, common sense truths just to debate. And what he was rejecting that was the most fundamental common sense truth, that if a presidency generates more bad outcomes than good outcomes, you shouldn't support the presidency as a whole. Thank you so much. I cannot believe it took me 36 minutes to yield that conclusion, but by God, I was dead set on it, because let me tell you, I hate sophistry. I hate sophistry so very much. Hate it. I hate sophists. But we are going to go to an end. Before we do, I want to thank a handful of donors here. Matthew, thank you so much for the $10 over on PayPal. I really appreciate you for the love. Maya, thank you for the $10 saying safe travels. Thank you so much for the love, Maya. And Rue, thank you so much for the $20. Show some love to Matthew, Maya, and Rue down below in that comment section. As well as I'd like to quickly thank Owen for the $2 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, Owen. That is incredibly kind of you. As well as Wayne, thank you so much for the $100. Over on Venmo, Wayne says, I'm a 1%er who will benefit from this damn big ugly bill. I give it to good people like you. Wayne, you are my favorite rich person. Show some love to Wayne down below in the comment section. Everybody show some love to Wayne. I want to see 1,000 Bruce Wayne W's down below. Wayne, seriously, man, thank you so much for being here. Show some love to Wayne down below. As well as Donnell, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. Scuba, thank you for the $30 over on Venmo, saying dinner in Aspen is on me. Scuba, I love you, bro. Thank you so much for the $30. And then Sid, thank you for the $25, saying sending you good luck on your trip. I hope it goes so well for you. I appreciate you for that, Sid. Thank you so much. As well as Shelby, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo. Now, everybody watching, I do have to end the live stream. It is around a 2-hour drive up to Aspen. It's 1:30 right now. It's probably going to take me 30 minutes to pack my bag. So I'm going to get on the road at 2. I'll be there at 4. And then I have to be at the actual speaking event at 6. So I'll have 2 hours from the time that I get there until the time I have to speak. That should be enough time to do all the research I need, because I still need to research what I'm actually talking about on the panel. But anyways, I love you guys. I'm going to go to an end. Y'all have a good rest of your days, everybody. Go show some love to Parker. I will keep you updated on my Instagram story with what I'm doing, so make sure to go follow me over there. And have a good rest of y'all's days, everybody. Peace and love. Bye-bye.